Warchant TV. If you're watching, don't forget to like and subscribe as we get underway. Boys are here. You can see them on the screen if you're watching. Like and subscribe, like I just said. Repeating myself. A little flustered. I was racing in and out. We're good. We made it.
Fresh off the practice fields and Doe Campbell Stadium.
That was my favorite. Can we do that every day?
I'll ask Mike.
See if we
Coach
can get
Norvell.
Mike.
Coach Norvell. Get it right.
Coach, if you're listening, traversing about town, getting ready to head to Jacksonville, when you come back, let's do this inside the stadium from here on out. I got the loose, the good vibes when I walked in there. It felt like football again. Felt good.
Yeah. Defense won the day, I thought, inside the stadium.
Well, you hold your horses on all this breakdown
Sorry.
here. Register Sausage needs some love. Let's do it. As we begin the hour, we do so by doffing the cap to our sponsor, Register Sausage, delicious as they are. Yay, sausage! And if you don't have them in your location, in your grocery store, wherever it is you're located, make sure you go ahead and throw a brick through the window.
No.
Yeah. We're not doing that.
No, we had the meeting. And we talked about it.
Oh, right. Sorry.
You
bricks.
throw a brick at the manager.
No.
I know. We talked. I thought that we did something with a brick.
No bricks.
No bricks anywhere.
We cut the bricks out.
Man, I don't know. I don't know if I'm on board.
Just ask politely, hey, could we get Register Sausage in this fine grocery store like other grocery stores that have it?
Get this. I'm interrupting for a good reason. Ira, Gabe writes, so I actually tried Register Sausage, smoked pork sausage, for the first time last week, and my wife and I were impressed, so we bought our second pack this week.
There you go.
That's let's start the show that way, guys.
That's how we do. We set the hook.
Boom.
Yeah. Slow and steady, too. And then you're going to order it the week after that, and the week after that.
And if you are far outside of the Southeast, we haven't really expanded the registers market beyond the Southeast right now. If you're beyond that, you also can get registers delivered. Go to registermeats.com is the website. They have all the different options, the sampler. And if you order enough, they'll give you free shipping. But it's great. They do a great job. It's comes in ice in a cooler, and it's fresh when you get it. Registermeats.com.
So how we feeling, boys? We're knee deep in camp now. I mean, here we go. It's that time where guys are starting to feel the effects, getting worn down, get a little tired of each other, tired of the coaches screaming at them, tired of this godforsaken heat,
tired of Jared Verse yelling at them,
tired of this humidity, just tired. But here they go. They're from here now. They'll head off to Jacksonville here real soon, and
after tomorrow's practice.
Yeah, try to get even more inclement, right? Where it gets even. Everybody tells me it's even worse over there in terms of the weather on the field that they're on.
Well, the two things they don't have there is, number one, they don't have that ice cooler. Yeah. The tractor
one of those
trailers
in my front yard. I'd like one of those. Wouldn't that be fun?
We've probably described it several times, but yeah. So Florida State's got and a lot of football programs have them now. They rent these huge ice box. I mean, it's like a tractor trailer that's got the temperature. I'm not sure what temperature it's at, but it's basically freezing.
-17.
So the players go in there and it cools off their body temperature, brings it down, so they go continue practice and they recover quicker. But Florida State has those at home. I don't think they're going to bring them over to Jacksonville.
Why not? You can't hitch it to the back of your
wagon?
They got pickup trucks in Tallahassee.
They didn't do it last year. And then they also don't have an indoor facility. So the entire time they're out there, they are in the heat,
feeling it.
And Mike Norvell's favorite thing is to yell at the clouds to go away because he doesn't want the clouds to protect the players. So it's a grueling couple days. The dorms are not really nice. It's not like living in Champions where they live.
Slumming it.
It's a tough 2 days, man.
Builds them up.
It's the 2022 version of Junction Boys.
It's the Junction Boys, yeah, essentially.
Yeah, the 2022 version, for sure.
A little different.
I really wish
with water breaks and whatnot.
Ice boxes back when I played. There was no such thing.
Nobody cared about you guys back on the football field 35 years ago.
It's really ridiculous. The absurdities. We were thinking about punishments. I was talking to a member of the beat, and he played college football, and we were lamenting the fact that like when these guys get in trouble, oftentimes they have to run these 10-yard sprints. Really? Little 10-yard sprint, huh? Man.
Or a couple up downs.
We did up downs up and down the field, 100 yards both ways, back and forth. I mean, it was ridiculous. And we did a lot of things that you probably wouldn't subject kids to anymore. But man, little 10-yard sprints ain't all that tough, guys.
Times are different, buddy.
Yeah, 10 yards. Go ahead. Anybody can go 10 yards.
Yeah.
Ooh, I don't know.
I'll never do that again.
Yeah, you got me.
I learned my lesson.
You got me. Hey, but that said, they've learned a lot. They've advanced. And the team's practice today, we would say about it, some good, some bad, some in between. That's what you're going to have at this time of the year. And I thought that there were some guys had good days. Johnny Wilson, I don't mention him a lot. You guys always do. I'm excited about him. You're
coming around.
Well, he's making catches now. He's done enough throughout this camp in the way of consistency, catching the football. I'm not going to get into details about what he's running, but catches the football when it's thrown to him these days. So you've given me some hope, Johnny.
Yeah, man. And you can't teach that size and that body. And I think he's come a long way.
I think he has too.
The last 4 or 5 months. And you knew that potential was there. If they invested, could they get through? I think they have. And I think he's going to be a really nice weapon. I thought today, and I know you were there for party yesterday, and Corey, you weren't able to make it yesterday, but I thought today's practice was better. I thought yesterday there was a good patch, and then kind of towards the end, it kind of tailed off. This practice, I thought, even when the defense was winning, which I think a lot of times makes us feel like, okay, you don't feel good about the offense because the defense is winning, but I felt like the competition was good throughout. I thought there was some crispness through most of it. I thought it was a good practice. And that's what he wants, because this is going to be a really hard week. And this is, there's 6 straight practices. Yesterday was a really hard day. Even though they weren't in full pads, they stayed outside the whole time. They didn't spend any time really in the indoor facility. And
they didn't either today, right? Other than the first couple periods that they always do.
They went back after practice to get their time in there. So it, I think we didn't get to talk to Mike Norvell today, but I think he would have felt good about the attitudes and the approach for the most part today.
I just think going back to 14 to Johnny Wilson, like he made, in the first part of practice, he made that contested catch and for a first down, really tight coverage on the sideline, really nice throw by Rodemaker. And then he caught everything. He caught one where he took a big shot and held onto the ball. Those are the things you have to see from him, because the size is there, but he caught everything. He caught a couple of touchdowns, and he made contested catches. And it's like, okay, man, now you start to see when you see him doing that kind of stuff. Deuce Spann has some stuff to him, some juice to him that we didn't. We knew he was there, but I didn't think we thought he'd be this far along. I don't think any of us would be surprised if he plays quite a bit this season, right? I think if you'd asked us a month ago, it'd be like, no chance.
Correct.
But so those two guys, it's weird, but Micah Pittman becomes, in my opinion, not just in my mind, he becomes like an afterthought. And he's probably the best of the 3. So that you've just upgraded your wide receiver core so much that it's, again, not the Fab 4. This isn't Alabama's group, but they're competent. They're at worst middle of the road ACC, which is the best they've been in a while. And they've got depth.
I'm excited to see where they are.
Numbers.
I'm not reluctant to say they're better. They're better. I agree with both of you there.
They're much better.
Yeah. I'm not reluctant to say that. I just want to see where they're at when they face somebody else and it's a game situation.
Yeah.
Part of where we're stuck at now at this point of practice, at least from what's observable to us, the defense knows what plays are coming. And all of this makes it impossible for the offense. It really is very, very difficult. I watched several plays today that are blown up where guys were doing things that if they did it in a game, they'd be yanked off the field because they know the play. They know the play. You have ends who immediately go to the flats on a neutral down. It wouldn't happen, Ira. It just wouldn't happen. So now you kind of get into, was that a good defensive play? Or they've seen this formation 100 times, and they know exactly, because of personnel and because of the reps, what's coming. Then you're not getting a true rep. And it makes it difficult on the offense in particular. So these players, it's hard to get a read. Some days I think, oh, yeah, man, they've come a long way. Other days they get shut down. But are they really being shut down, or does the defense just know what's coming up? It's tough.
Yeah, I think it's a combination, but I also think that, some of the things that we've been talking about since last week, Mike Norvell mentioned that they've, had some limitations on the offensive line. They've been mixing in some new faces. I think that's part of it as well. Plus, I think it's going to be a good defense. But again, it never, to me, looks like it did last year. And there were times last year, it didn't matter if it was Jordan or McKenzie sometimes in practice, where I just felt like, man, this offense is going to be a struggle because you just didn't have playmakers at receiver.
They barely could win any one-on-ones last year.
Yeah.
This year they won. They had 2, or just today they had 2 long touchdowns, and they're one-on-ones, right? But the 2 receivers beat, read all about it on Warchant, but 2 receivers beat 2 DBs for long passes. You didn't see that at all last year.
Yeah. And then when they go into 7-on-7, 11-on-11, again, a lot of what we see is situational.
And that's where the defense really knows what's going on.
Right. But I mean, again, I have been pleased by this whole camp. And I think that, again, my impressions of this team have gotten better from camp. Whereas last year, I don't know if I would have said that after the way my expectations going into camp versus 2 weeks later. I don't know if I felt better about the team right now I feel better about them than I did going into camp. I do.
I do too. I still think that they're predominantly going to be a run-first type team. I think that's the strength of their team. I think they finally have some depth on that offensive line you feel good about, and size. You feel good about Trey Benson's addition in the backfield to go along with the other running backs that they utilized a year ago. I think Johnny Wilson coming in as a blocking wide receiver, they're going to be able to run the ball. And then obviously if you play to Jordan's strengths, you're going to run the ball. So I think they're going to be a run-first team. I don't want to give the impression to people that even though we believe the receiving core is definitely better than it was a year ago, and it is, I don't want people to get the impression that they're going to come out there slinging it, because I don't think they are. I don't think that's their identity.
No, but just having the ability to do it changes how defense have to prepare for you. I mean, teams have been especially teams with superior athletes, have been able to just walk up their safeties and just dare Florida State to throw the football, and they didn't have anybody that can make plays, and they didn't have quarterbacks maybe who could hit it. Now I think that people are going to try them. I mean, I'm sure LSU is going to do the same.
Definitely do that.
And so then it's going to be an opportunity for Florida State to hit some of those plays, and they've got to do it. But these weapons, we'll see how good Johnny Wilson is. I believe in him. And today was another really good day. Yesterday was a really good day. He is stacking up good days. And to me, that's going to carry over to Saturday.
That's also why I brought him up first. Yeah. I mean, he's a guy that has begun to win me over. I was the most skeptical of the three of us anyhow, because I thought he was not very good consistently catching the football in spring. But he has been much better this camp. And that's why if I'm going to rip you, I'm going to praise you, because he's gotten a lot better from that time to this time.
And you feel like they have. I'm really intrigued with Deuce Spann, man. I just think he's going to be more of a factor than I could have ever dreamed 2 months ago. And if he works himself into the rotation, and you've got him on one side and Johnny Wilson on the other, well, you've got matchups. Yeah. Those are matchup problems. Florida State went into Clemson last year. Brent Venables wasn't scared of anybody on the outside. They didn't have to match up with anyone. Oh, 80's out here, 6 is out here. Oh, which one's Parchment? It doesn't matter. Yeah. But you have to account, especially inside the red zone, you're going to have to account for 14. And Deuce Spann, if he becomes something, you have to account for him all over the field. Like, he's faster than probably anybody you got in your secondary. That didn't happen last year. So LSU, you have to imagine, will defend them like Clemson did. Well, they're going to do everything. Now, they may not have the players that Clemson did, but they're going to do everything in their power to take away the running game, take away 13's legs. Now you have some guys that, even if they're not open, they might be able to make some plays. Well, you got a guy in the slot that can make plays.
And if they do have to play you more straight up, now imagine what Jordan can do.
Well, that's the part that I like. I think it's interesting, because I'm at a quandary here. I agree with you that Johnny Wilson has come a long way. Nobody's worried about running with him. They'll be able to run with him. He's not going to run by anybody. But can he make all the contested catches he's been making lately against a good team like, let's say, LSU is a good team, defensively, certainly? If so, it does change the game. It really does. And we'll see. I mean, you're betting that he's going to do that. I hope that he does. I think that he's come a long way towards that end, and let's hope that continues. He's going to have to do that in the game.
Well, and the difference between the two guys right now in their development is that Johnny Wilson, and he's older and has played a lot more receiver, a lot of times you'll see him doing this against Amarian Cooper. Mm-hmm. You'll see him doing it up against the best defensive backs. Deuce Spann's not usually doing it up against the best defensive backs.
And they're very different in that Deuce is just going to run past the joker, whereas Johnny is going to not run past the person, but body position and utilize that. Let's thank our friend Eric. He joined us here to start the show and contributes. Seminole Headliners, I'm delivering a certified letter to Coach Brian Kelly and say, I need you to sign your life away after we beat down by the Noles in September. Okay, nicely done. Eric, thank you. Thanks for the contribution. Appreciate you.
Thank you, Eric.
Thank you.
Good man, buddy.
And I think he's pumped up for the game, like we all are.
You know, anytime I read a Brian Kelly quote now, I just have to read it in the fake Southern accent. I can't not read it.
What a joy. That's life's simple
When
pleasures,
I read his
Ira.
quotes, it's like I'm reading him in Foghorn Leghorn's voice for some reason.
Oh, I wish I could get there. That's great.
I don't know if it'll ever go away.
That's beautiful.
It all goes back to it goes back to him being crazy at that basketball game, but then the Twitter guy that's famous. Is this the Alabama Slammer himself?
Yeah, you can just watch that over and over again.
It's unbelievable. Yes. It's my favorite thing ever.
Really, really well done. Seminole Headlines, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV continues in a moment.
Well. Hey, Jeff, look at this place.
Yeah. Well, doing well. It's been a while since I've seen you, brother, but, it hasn't been a while since I've been over to Gordo's. I go there on the regular because of you, Eddie.
Well, we keep you regular.
Well, that's true, but I think of Gordo's as a place to sit down, have a cold beer, talk to your friends, enjoy the sports, eat the delicious food. But I think of you as Uncle Eddie, a man who takes care of his people and takes care of the town.
I appreciate that, Jeff. Hey, and we'll keep you regular.
Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
A lifelong Florida farmer, Wilton Simpson, is ready to be Florida's next Commissioner of Agriculture. A devoted husband, father, and grandfather, Wilton Simpson grew up on his family's chicken farm in Trilby. One of us, Wilton shares our conservative values and, like any farmer, believes in working sun up to sun down. And Wilton's brought that same farmer's work ethic to Tallahassee as State Senate President. Simpsons fought to cut taxes for Florida families and fought for parents to have a say in their children's education. 100% pro-life, endorsed by the NRA for defending our Second Amendment rights. Wilton knows we have to crack down on illegal immigration. And Wilton Simpson has the complete and total endorsement of his friend and ally, Governor Ron DeSantis. In the Republican primary on August 23rd, vote for conservative farmer Wilton Simpson for Florida Commissioner of Agriculture. Paid political advertisement paid for by RSLC Florida IEPAC, P.O. Box 772-516, Miami, Florida 33177, independently of any candidate or committee.
When your AC unit decides to give up the ghost, it doesn't always pick the best time. But no matter what time, day or night, or day of the week, you can call E&B Heating and Air Conditioning. We'll be out to bring your AC unit back to life. We've been repairing and replacing heating and air conditioning systems in the North Florida and South Georgia area since 1974. So when your air conditioner stops working, call E&B Heating and Air Conditioning to the rescue.
Every day, Sellers makes life a little better for homeowners, helping them find the best design ideas for their homes with the best quality tile, carpet, and hardwood flooring. Even mosaics, ceramic, and vinyl solutions are at their fingertips in their remarkable showroom. Maybe it's time for you to get the Sellers advantage for your home or office. Find them on Capitol Circle Northeast, just north of Mahan Drive, or online at sellerstile.com. For style, quality, and design, get the Sellers advantage. In Tallahassee, call 656-8453.
The weather is unpredictable and can cause issues around your home. Weston Trawick provides commercial, residential, and industrial electrical wiring services, yearly inspections on fire alarms, portable generator sales, and so much more. With 24/7 emergency service and repair, Weston Trawick will be your calm in the storm. Give them a call at 514-0003. Weston Trawick. Professional electrical services day or night. Visit online at westontrawick.com.
This is Paddy Wilson.
Oh, I'm sorry. We're ready.
He's recording.
Why are you always saying your last name? It's Paddy and Scott. Everybody knows Paddy and Scott.
I don't know. This is Paddy Wilson. Not this is. I am Paddy Wilson.
What is the idea behind said promo?
It's for Paddy's Playhouse. We're on Paddy's Playhouse Saturdays at 11. Tune in. That's stupid. Just tune in. Saturdays at 11. Paddy Wilson, Paddy's Playhouse. House talk with a happy ending.
Each and every time.
Life is stressful. Dinner shouldn't be. That motto is why Register Sausage has been doing business in the Florida Panhandle and Lower Alabama for over 75 years. A proud sponsor of Seminole Headlines, Register Sausage always provides the best Southern smoked sausage to over 140 grocery stores and restaurants throughout the Southeast. Headliners have discovered the Register's difference. You can too. To find a store that carries Registers near you or to buy directly, head to registermeats.com. That's registermeats.com. Register Sausage. Yay, sausage!
Seminole Headlines returns now. Head to YouTube and search for Warchant TV today to catch the show live or on demand. Now, here's Jeff Cameron, Ira Schofel, and Corey Clark.
Man, I'll tell you something. A headset cord will get stuck under a seated wheel invariably. There's no chance it's not going to get stuck. I just had it here. I turn to my right. We come back. It's stuck under the thing. Pull it on my head.
That's a saying as old as time.
Yeah, it is.
A headset cord will get stuck under a
Yeah.
chair's wheel.
Inevitably.
Yeah. Indubitably.
Yeah, it's really annoying. That said, let's go back to football for a second. We have questions from people about Deuce Spann. So I want to say this about Deuce Spann. I agree, Corey, that he is a lot further along than I thought he would be, especially coming out of spring where I thought you get 0 out of him, save for maybe special teams. But I don't know that I expect in the first half of the season for him to be, I don't know what. How many targets a game do you think that he would get right now?
2, maybe.
Okay.
I'd go over.
Okay. I wonder about LSU. Duquesne, hell, give him 30.
Right,
Who cares?
whatever. Yeah.
I shouldn't say that. They lost to a 1AA team last year. I still call them 1AA, by the way. I don't let everybody dictate how I'm going to refer to an FCS school.
I don't. Well, you never let players dictate how you're going to spell their names or pronounce their names.
Look, man.
So
you can't say it's EJ, E period, J period when that's not the rules of grammar. That's all I'm saying.
Except like all these dudes now.
I know. I didn't realize that. And did you know Terrell Buckley's real name was Douglas?
I did not.
Terrell's his middle name. He could have been D-Buck. Doug Buckley.
If Corey had covered him,
he would have been because he would have decided that that's what it should be.
You don't get your name.
You don't get all willy-nilly on us. Yeah. So you think 2? I was taking the over.
I just think I don't think he's going to start. I just think that as a game through the course of a game, there's going to be
you want to show
opportunities where they're going to Again, what he provides to me, one of the biggest things Deuce Spann provides to you is that threat that you have to respect.
Yeah.
And so,
and I'll also say this, like I wasn't at practice on Monday, but the scrimmage he had on Saturday where he made a couple of nice big catches and had a long kick return. I was wondering, okay, when we go out to practice the next week, will we see him start to maybe play with different people? And, we don't give away depth chart stuff on here, but I feel like today, maybe he was playing in different scenarios than he has been in the past.
I think that's been coming.
Right? And Saturday, I'm sure, even expedited it maybe even a little bit more. And now here we are where I think they go into this week anyway thinking, Deuce Spann's something. He's something we're going to play
I'm rooting for him big time because he has a set of skills that nobody else on the roster has at wide receiver. So I'm with you. I sure hope so. I just think it's asking a lot for him to be kind of a cornerstone of the offense. I'm not trying to.
No.
I don't think he's that. He has speed that nobody else on this roster at his size has. So absolutely, you want to lift the lid and you want to show it so that they have to respect it. I agree. In terms of being a polished route runner, he's not that yet. And I still think he has to work on catching the ball a little bit more consistently, but I'm excited about his upside. Huge. I mean, I didn't expect anything when we walked out of spring because he really struggled in the spring. And so for him,
I thought he was going to redshirt. I figured they'd redshirt.
You're talking about a player that's transitioning from quarterback to receiver. He got a handful of balls at Illinois. You just don't have a ton of experience. So you're thinking, okay, well, let's see. Then he comes into the spring and he struggles a little bit. And you think, all right, well, maybe it's a year from now that this kid's going to be something, or maybe, something along those lines. You love the physical tools. You like the way he filled out the uniform. You thought, man, that's different looking. He's got some wheels. Let's see what happens. But you're right to point out that he's so much further along right now. I just don't want to give the impression that we're routinely going to look at the box score after a Florida State football game and it's Deuce Spann 5 catches, 72 yards and a touchdown. He's not close to that.
I'm looking at 8 for 140 and 3. Just from what I'm seeing. I don't know what you're looking at.
That's reasonable.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I just don't think he's close to that yet. So it's fascinating. But you got guys that are improving.
But I think, and again, I guess this is just the nature of what we do. We always feel this need to say somebody looks good, but don't get too excited.
Especially when you're covering a team that had one.
But I usually only do it when Corey Clark speaks.
Okay.
I don't do it with you.
Gotcha.
When Corey talks, I'm like, well, let me let
look,
everybody know.
I wasn't saying he's going to win the Bolitnikoff.
But
He'll get votes. I don't know that he's going to win it, though. I still got work to do.
Again, I mean, I just think of when you think of going onto the field with some of the guys that they've been going onto the field with at wide receiver over the last few years, that's got to be very tempting, or not just tempting, but exciting for a play caller, for a quarterback, for teammates.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a period today, again, we're not going to go through play by play, but there was a stretch today where it's like, man, it's just bam, 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 Johnny Wilson. It's like, all right, dude, this guy, like, they've got confidence in him. And I think players, and when he's beating players now, I don't think they're surprised. I mean, he has earned the respect. I think Johnny Wilson certainly has. I think Deuce Spann's coming along behind that.
Well, it's a big kid, Dan. I mean, at the end of the day, guys are in position. Oftentimes, they're mostly in position against Johnny Wilson, but he's just a hoss. That's a big dude. If he's going to play physical like that, that is a problem. And again, I'd like to say more about some things that I want to see, but we're not. I think it'd be giving away some stuff, so I'm not going to do it.
And then somebody in chat asked, are Spann and Winston Wright the same guy? No, not at all. Winston Wright's going to be a slot receiver whenever he gets back and he's back in the offense. He caught 60-something balls last year at West Virginia, but he's not going to be a guy that, is catching a lot of 60, 70-yarders. you think Spann might be that kind of guy at some point in his career.
Yeah, it's a shame. You bring up Winston Wright, and I don't want to be Debbie Downer. It's just a shame that accident happened, both for he and his family, everybody involved in an accident. Obviously, you just want them to return to full health. But from a football standpoint, it really is a shame because I'll tell you what, I think our conversations, you think we're a little excited now about the receiving core?
If you had him and Pittman.
Well, that's what I mean. Winston
targets.
Wright is a bona fide player. He's already proven it at the Power 5 level, to Ira's point with the numbers. That's a guy that was going to be a plug-and-play guaranteed starter for this team in the slot. And then you bring in Micah, and you have Johnny Wilson and an emerging Deuce Spann, and you have Malik McClain coming back, and we hope maybe a couple of other guys, end up doing something, maybe Kentron Portier, somebody like that. I'm just naming somebody who's been here, maybe taking a step forward. That would be then you would be really, really bubbling with enthusiasm.
That's the one thing with these receivers, and we do think they're all good, maybe very good, certainly in relation to what was on this roster the last couple of years. But none of them have really done much in football games. None of them. Like Micah Pittman had some nice moments, but he wasn't anything special at Oregon. Johnny Wilson didn't do a whole lot at Arizona State. Deuce Spann caught 5 passes. They're not like Tatum Bethune coming over and having a 17-tackle game under his belt and having 100 tackles last year. Jamie Robinson, Kiera Thomas, Jermaine Johnson, all those really good transfers from the last few years on the defensive side of the ball had accomplished something at this level. So Johnny Wilson, Micah Pittman, Deuce Spann have it. Winston Wright would have been the guy. Yeah, man, he's caught 60 passes in a Power 5 league. This is nothing new for him. So the one thing you don't know, we talked about Rodemaker. We talked about Rodemaker like this yesterday on Wake Up Warchant with Jeff. Is that you want to see what it's like under the lights, man. You just want to see how, can he transfer it and translate it to under the lights? And that's what I want to see. Johnny Wilson on a 3rd and 7 against an LSU corner in his face in the Superdome. If he can catch a 12-yard route with the guy running through his back, can he make those plays? Is he gonna be able to carry what he's doing in practice over to games? Or because some guys can't. And the way he played in that spring game after what I thought was a pretty good spring, to immediately drop 2 very catchable passes with people actually watching, it's like, okay, how's he going to handle his first drop in the football season? Because he is going to drop something.
Well, these are the mysteries that we can't know.
You don't know.
And we don't know until they play LSU, really.
They're a little more unknown. Even what they're doing in practice, they're still more unknown of how they're going to respond in games with 80,000 people in the stands.
Since it was asked in the chat, we need to promote. I guess some people have some question marks. It's a buck. It's a buck. Warchant.com on 3. All FSU fans, limited time only, $1 for 1 year in the greatness that is Warchant.com.
Just type Warchant.com. It's going to give you type Warchant.com in your browser right now if you want. You can go away and come back.
Go do it. Do it.
It's going to give you 2 options. You get $1 for 4 months, or you get $1 for 12 months.
I'm taking that $1 for 12 months.
Partner. It's just better bang for your buck, Ira.
Just a better way to go.
8 more months of bang for the same buck.
That's a lot of banging.
That's a lot of bang for $1. And yeah, man, it's crazy that you wouldn't join, even if you don't like any of us, which is crazy anyway. That doesn't make sense.
I'm going to say maybe the most bang you can get for $1.
I think it probably is.
What's the coffee now? $9? Like this is the best deal.
Coffee, yeah.
This is the best deal in 2022 you can get for $1. I mean, it's $100 at least.
Ira's right though. That's a hell of a bang for $1.
That's a lot of banging.
That's a lot.
That's a lot of banging for $1. But get there. Get on Warchant. If you've never done it before, get on Warchant.
Good work,
like
Corey.
it. I do what I can, right?
Yeah.
Hey, and register sausage. Don't forget about register sausage.
All right.
Sorry. Okay. Well, that's still, we love register sausage.
We do. I do. One promotion at a time.
Hey,
sorry.
The nice thing about, to Corey's point, before he became Johnny Salesman, was
I must be crazy, Ira. Are we really giving it away for $1?
That is the nice thing about the Duquesne game. LSU doesn't have a Duquesne game. Florida State has the Duquesne game to give Johnny Wilson, Deuce Spann, some of these guys that have Jared Verse, some of these guys that haven't played in an environment like that, that opportunity against the team that they should be able to handle.
Whoa.
But kind of get out some of that jitters. Now, obviously, the LSU game is going to be totally different. The
jitters there will be real for all involved, especially those guys that have not done it. I mean, to be in that stadium against that team, prime time, the nation watching, I should say. I mean, that's the coach's jobs. And Jimbo would talk about it. The reason Jimbo was such an ass to players during practice was because, and he was proud of it, because he wanted them to feel like games were easier than the practices. Sure, always, yes.
And so that's what a coaching staff has to do. They've got to create as much pressure as they can create in these practices, in those scrimmages, so that when they get into a game, it doesn't feel that different.
The only thing I'll say about, and I agree with you, I just think it takes a quarter for somebody who's never done it, and I certainly never played in a game of that magnitude. But I mean, I think, you hear professional golfers say this a lot. Like in practice, they'll create stakes. They'll create things for, if I don't do this, then this is the repercussion. I have to stay here an extra hour and do this, and this, whatever. Something where you might feel where you could ratchet up the nerves. You bet with your caddy, whatever you're doing, your whoever your swing coach. They'll do that because they don't want to have to hit that shot under no pressure. Because in a real round of golf on a Sunday, you're going to hit the 7-iron. It's going to feel a lot different than it did on Tuesday at the range. But until that shot comes up in a tournament where there's money on the line,
different.
Yeah, you can't recreate that.
The good news is, though, not going totally against what I just said 3 minutes ago, but like Micah Pittman and Johnny Wilson have played in big stadiums and against real teams on television.
Yeah, I'm less worried about those guys. But I mean, I think when you talk about Jared Verse,
they've never been the guy. They've
Deuce
never been the
Spann,
guy.
Yeah, right. Absolutely.
But yeah, Jared Verse. I mean, I don't know how many people watch Albany
football.
I'm going to guess not a lot.
52.
You think,
I wonder what they're.
I am actually going to look up.
52.
I'm going to look up what they drew for their season opener last year.
They did play Syracuse or somebody. So
in the first
they did
game,
play one game that.
Okay, so he knows. I mean, he knows what big time Power 5 ACC football is like.
25,000 strong.
Man, if you're in the Carrier Dome, I mean, you feel that's college football at its core. Jim Brown played in the Carrier Dome.
What you feel is that sorry-ass stadium in the heat, despite being named after an air conditioning company.
Yeah, no AC in there.
I will say this, though.
All-time irony.
After getting to be around Jared Verse over the last 8 months, I don't feel like he's a guy that gets
but he could be
too
overhyped.
Intimidated by. No, he could get overhyped.
He could get overhyped.
Yeah,
and you worry about that early on.
Well,
that's the other part. That adrenaline, man. Boom.
You'd rather say whoa than giddy up.
I've
said that before. You'd rather say whoa than giddy up.
That's one of your better sayings.
There's a better chance when they come out of the tunnel that he runs directly to LSU's sideline.
It starts a fight.
Than there is that he's going to be intimidated.
Are they bringing the tiger? Because he's gonna bark at the tiger. Like he's gonna rattle the tiger's cage.
There was a kid when I covered Florida in the early '90s. Anthony Riggins, I think was his name. Anyway, he runs out. They were playing at South Carolina. And this is a guy that had been on the team. Like he had played. He was a part of the deep rotation defensive end. They come out of the tunnel. For some reason at South Carolina, they come out of the tunnel. The team runs to the sideline. He runs to the middle of the field and
on his own volition.
Like a Terrell Owens.
At South Carolina's bench and grabs his crotch.
Okay.
And
my man's ready to play some football.
He was suspended. He was in the rotation at defensive end. I mean, he was like
my man had worked himself up into
South Carolina
against South Carolina. He's like, these sons of bitches are gonna know I'm serious about this today.
I was like, where's he going? And then he's like, why is he doing that?
Why
sir?
Did he play in the game?
I don't think so, man. I think they were not happy.
So he settled down real quick.
Yeah.
But he wanted him to know. He was on that Saturday. It's time to come get you some. Seminole Headlines, 93.3 Real Talk Radio. Warchant TV continues in a moment.
Your local news now.
The Quincy Police Department responded to a shooting Sunday evening near the 500 block of William Street. A 19-year-old Joe Cox was having an argument with the victim over money matters. Cox shot the victim in the lower right abdomen and fled from the scene. The victim was rushed to HCA in Quincy and later transported to Tallahassee Memorial with non-life-threatening injuries. The person who took the victim to HCA in Quincy was also arrested on unrelated charges. Truly, the state's largest medical marijuana operator and country music legends, the Bellamy Brothers, are backing a proposed constitutional amendment that would allow recreational use of marijuana by people 21 or older in Florida. Other multi-state medical marijuana operators also are expected to support the campaign to get the proposed amendment for the 2024 ballot. While past recreational marijuana initiatives have failed, supporters of the new proposal say they're confident it will satisfy Florida Supreme Court requirements to make it onto the ballot and will gain support from voters. This is Rachel N.A. with your Real Talk 93.3 Local News Update, brought to you by Macklemore Systems, Tallahassee's go-to Mac store. Check them out online at MacklemoreSystems.com.
This is meteorologist Paul Trombley with your Real Talk 93.3 weather update. Scattered thunderstorms likely this afternoon. Otherwise, sunshine mixed with clouds at times. Daytime highs approaching 89. South winds 5 to 10 miles per hour. Chance for scattered thunderstorms again tonight. Lows level off around 73. Partly cloudy skies. Scattered thunderstorms likely tomorrow. 90. Sunshine mixed with clouds at times. This report is brought to you by the Lawn Johns. For all your landscaping and lawn care needs, visit thelawnjohns.com. Right now, 90.
Physical stress on our bodies can take its toll as the years go by. Whether you're looking to get back into an old sport or just want to spend more time outdoors to explore all life has to offer in our beautiful city, the dedicated team at TOC is here for you every step of the way. You can trust TOC for all your orthopedic needs. And now, scheduling an appointment has never been easier. Just visit teamtoc.com and click schedule online. That's teamtoc.com.
Life is stressful. Dinner shouldn't be. That motto is why Register Sausage has been doing business in the Florida Panhandle and Lower Alabama for over 75 years. A proud sponsor of Seminole Headlines, Register Sausage always provides the best Southern smoked sausage to over 140 grocery stores and restaurants throughout the Southeast. Headliners have discovered the Register's difference. You can too. To find a store that carries Registers near you or to buy directly, head to registermeats.com. That's registermeats.com. Register Sausage. Yay, sausage!
Here's what you missed on the Greg Tish Show.
We need to have history. We need to have literature. It deserves an explanation. We don't need to be promoting lifestyles that come into play for your average elementary school.
Well, I had an experience with this. When my daughter was in school, her teacher gave her a book to read, but then she asked me what the C word is.
That was in the book.
That was in the book.
Okay, so talking about the C word. So you're talking about conservatives, right?
The Greg Tish Show, Monday through Friday, 6 to 9 a.m., only on Real Talk 93.3.
Seminole Headlines returns now. Head to YouTube and search for Warchant TV today to catch the show live or on demand. Now, here's Jeff Cameron, Ira Schofel, and Corey Clark.
Seminole Headlines, as the man said, is back. We got some questions here. I was prepping because I think people are excited about football again. I just noticed on both Facebook and Twitter, we're rolling here, guys.
No doubt.
A lot of questions.
No doubt. We got a great fan base.
People
And
are
by we, I mean Seminole Headlines.
People are ready to roll.
Well, hold on. Before you're going to do that, I was going to say I had the best taunting that I've ever seen in person. And it brings me to something else I want to talk about real quick. But was Clemson in '88. I was there. It was Deion's last year. Leroy Butler, those guys. When they're getting ready to run down the hill, it's like the whole Florida State defense. It's probably 20 guys total. We're standing right. They weren't on the sideline. They were probably 25 yards out on the sideline, telling them to come down the hill, like come and get some, come because they were already out there coming to get some. And and when you watch it on YouTube, the replay of that game, you can barely see it because Pat O'Brien. Remember Pat O'Brien?
Yeah, good old Pat O'Brien.
He's telling everybody what's happening because it's like, Clemson wasn't on national. Not every game was televised back then. So he's saying, look, and now they get in the buses and they run down this hill and they rub this rock. Isn't this awesome? And you can see in the background over his shoulder the Florida State players just telling him to taunt and get some, which was really, really cool. And just shout out because I was at that game and because of what happened Saturday to Leroy Butler being officially enshrined in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Number 5 for the Noles. I think they'll probably have, I don't know who the next one is. You think Anquan gets in? But it's awesome that Leroy Butler got in. It was 16 years. He had to wait, but he did get in. And it was awesome.
I interviewed Leroy Butler early in my career when I first started covering Florida State, and I was
when he was good with the Packers.
Yeah, and I was really nervous. And somebody was like, "Hey, do you want him?" I had only been on the air for less than a year in the morning, and they're like, "Do you want him?" I know him. He'll come on, and he was so kind. I mean, I didn't know what I was doing. I was very nervous. He was just an awesome guy. We ended up talking for like 25 minutes. I have the tape from that interview from 98, 99, whatever that was. And I'll never forget that. And I remember him as a player too, obviously. But yeah, I just remember thinking, well, that was cool. He didn't have to do that because he was
already. He was a big deal.
It was a really big deal. And he just came on to this little AM radio show in Tallahassee.
He's always been super popular. Obviously, he was inordinately popular up at Green Bay. But he also, I don't know if I've probably paid more attention to his Hall of Fame journey since he was announced he got into the ceremony than other players because he's a Florida State guy. But I don't know if I've ever seen anybody that just seems so gratified. Like he's just so excited. It seems like a little kid every time from the time he found out to every interview he's done to his ceremony where he spoke. I mean, he just seems like such a happy and grateful person. It's been cool to watch him.
Yeah. I wonder if it's the weight too. Like 16 years, they're like, it's never going to happen. And it's
but
a big deal, man.
Without any bitterness, it doesn't seem like he's been bitter about it.
Well, not publicly anyway, I wouldn't think.
No.
Yeah.
No, you're right though, and I think you do get nervous after a little while. You're like, well, maybe it doesn't happen, I mean, it's not like, a lot of these guys that go in are slam dunk. Like Peyton Manning knew, that it's not going to take long. I'm getting in.
Yeah, he wasn't like sweating out the phone call.
Yeah.
Like, man, I wonder if they're going to call me and tell me. I should have gotten the call by now. Maybe they didn't like me.
As an aside, did you see the Peyton Manning thing with Thomas that he dedicated to Georgia Tech?
Yeah.
How great is that?
Yeah, man. Peyton Manning's seems like has some very good qualities.
Yeah. So back to Florida State for a second, and we had some questions here that one of them I wanted to get to before we broke, so we still have enough time in this segment certainly to do it. And I'll scroll back to where this was in the chat.
I'm going to say Anquan, then Jalen are the next two. Anyway, go ahead.
You think Anquan gets in?
I think eventually he'll get in because of how good he was and how good he was early in his career and how long he lasted, like 10 years of being really good. I think he'll eventually get in.
I hope so. Damn it, can't find the question now.
Thank God I was here to fill this time, Ira,
Quality
because
radio.
Lord knows what we would be doing otherwise.
Well,
maybe Dalvin, he stacks on 3 more good years because running backs,
it's tough.
The tough shelf life, man. You got to grade on a curve, but he's been one of the best running backs in football for about a 4-year stretch now.
I found
he's healthy. Okay, good.
Dustin writes, "Hey boys, love the show. More pressure on DC Fuller or OC Norvell, if you will, this year to be a top 50 defense or top 50 offense." I think that there's more pressure.
Top 50.
I mean, I think they can.
I mean, I get it. That would be an improvement.
Second half of the season, they were a top 50 defense. Second
Yes.
half of the season, they were top 35.
Yep. They played a full 12, though, last year. That was the problem.
Well, I'll just say this. They ought to step on the field game one, capable of being a top 50, top 40 defense.
I was going to say, I think to me, I guess it comes down to how you describe pressure. I think the coordinator that's got the most weapons and should be a top 50 unit is the defense. I mean, they have the players that they should be and experience. They should be a top 50 defense. Plus, they're coming back from last year and the way they played the second half of last season. The
if
offense,
they're not, is it like, okay, this?
Well, and that's
what
why
do we do?
I don't think that's going to happen.
No, you don't want to entertain that
because I don't
I wouldn't.
And I do want to talk about Fuller a little bit because that's one of the things I've been watching at practice. I want to talk about, but the offense with Atkins and Mike Norvell. I think it's dismissive to say that Mike Norvell is the offense coordinator. He's going to call the plays on game day, but I still think Alex Atkins is the offensive coordinator, and he should not be disrespected because I think he has a lot of input. But I don't think they have as much pressure because
they're not going anywhere.
And they don't have as much natural material to work with. That offensive line's better, but the biggest thing they're better in is depth. Like the second team is so much better than it's been in 10,
you couldn't run plays
years.
if the first team was not out there before.
But the first team offensive line is not going to be a juggernaut. It's just the overall depth is so much better that's what we're talking about. It's going to be better, but that's not a great offensive line.
No.
And they're not great at receiver, and they're probably not going to be great at quarterback.
Right.
So I think they could be a top 50 offense, but nobody's saying that that's a disappointment if they're not. I think they've got to be much better than they were last year, but I don't know that you would say, okay, if they're not in the top 50 in terms of yards or whatever, that the coaching staff has blown it.
Right. I would say that Fuller is the answer to this question all the way. First of all, fair or not, those first 4 games happened, and they were a nightmare, and they lost to Jacksonville State on that play that nobody's going to forgive them for until they win a bunch of games.
Yeah, maybe not even them. Maybe it has to be 2 national championships.
And in fairness, that is as deplorable a moment in Florida State football lore as you can name.
But nobody should take more blame than Mike Norvell. I mean, because what the offense did in that game was ridiculous.
That's the question, though.
But you're not arguing with me. That's the question. I'm answering the question. The point would be Fuller is never going to be forgiven for that, not without a bunch of wins and top defensive performances for a long stretch of time. Fair or not, doesn't matter. And there are already a lot of people who question Fuller before he ever got here. Like, why is that guy Florida State's DC? It was a legitimate question. You look at his background, nothing about him screamed like that's who you need to hire as your DC. So I think he's under a lot of pressure.
I do too.
And I think he'll succeed this year. I like that defense a lot. I've said that before.
What he screwed up last year, there were multitude of things that he screwed up at the beginning, but like I don't understand how you look at what you have in August and not have Jamie Robinson at safety. Like
I think they didn't feel good about Kevin Noles at nickel.
Right.
They needed somebody good at nickel.
But when they made that decision, once they figured out Kevin Noles could play, but that's something you can't figure out halftime of week 4.
Yeah, but you can't force Kevin Noles to play as a true freshman in game 1 if he's not ready. That's not a great recipe either.
Well, there weren't probably a lot of great recipes. But I was going to say, if they'd have gone out in the second half against Louisville and given up 31 more points that looked a lot like the first 31,
he may not be here.
He might not have made it to Monday. Like, legitimately, I think there's a case because you did have the Jacksonville State game the 2 weeks before.
Well, and you just had
Wake
plays
Forest
where they weren't coordinated.
Yeah, everybody was wide open in the middle of the field. The best tight end in the country is just running scot-free in the first game. But they did fix it. They did get better, much better. Like you said, a top 40-ish, top 50-ish type defense last year. So, now, but there's still hesitancy. There's still trepidation with him and with that defense. Now, if they go out for the whole season consistent, then he's fine. And you're right. He's got better players, man. He's just got Bethune, Jamie Robinson, Cooper.
I also think they finally, at some point, they bought into what he was teaching.
This is what I wanted to touch on.
They
when
bought
I said I did
into
want
him.
to talk about Fuller. So go back to where the time I was most concerned about whether or not he was going to last here was the Miami game their first year, because that was the game Miami's just going up and down the field, and I watched him on the sideline. We talked about it on here.
Yeah,
screaming at guys on the sideline, trying to get them to pay.
They
were not even listening to. I mean, it was completely. They weren't being outwardly disrespectful, but you could tell they weren't hearing it. But that was dudes that he inherited that mostly are gone now. Watching him interact with these guys, two things I want to say. One is a big difference last year, I think Randy Shannon started getting more input as the season went on. He was an analyst last year. He couldn't coach. He couldn't be on the field. He couldn't coach during games or in practices. But you saw him in the second half of that season becoming much more involved in discussions with the other coaches. And I think Randy Shannon has been a good yin to Adam Fuller's yang. I think Adam Fuller comes at it from a very cerebral approach, and I think Randy Shannon comes from a more player relational approach. And I think that's a really good fit. I think that's come together, and I think that was smart. I know some people, the recruiting fans, wanted different coaches because they didn't like Randy Shannon as a recruiter. I think he's been a big part of what they are doing defensively. The other thing is watch him at practice now. Not all the time. I mean, Adam Fuller's a taskmaster. He's a screamer and all that. But we always wondered, the biggest question I had was, how's this guy from the Northeast going to relate to these kids? Watch him at practice, man. He jumps on their backs after plays. He interacts with them in a way. He has the ability to interact with them and not just as the screaming coach, but also goofing and fun, having fun with them. And there's some really cool interplay between him and the players. They like him. That relationship has come together to where I think it's legit. And I think that's been the most surprising to me. I knew he knew defense. Mike Norvell would not have brought him here if he didn't know how to coordinate a defense. It was going to be, could he get them to buy into him? Could he relate to them? And I think that it's at a high level from what I've seen in practice.
Relatability is key. When you come from the Northeast and you're trying to relate to kids in the South, you're right. That's the first thing you think is he going to be able to do that? And at first, I don't think he did. And there were people who were second guessing him early on. Then when they didn't have success on the field, it became easier to dismiss him.
And he inherited a tough group.
Yes, without question. Oh, well, the secondary alone was a nightmare. That room in and of itself was a room they needed to vet and get some folks moved on out of here. And yeah, they had problems there. So one of the things that I think, too, that happens, and you bring up this point, and it's a good one. I've learned this a lot, time and again, over the course of the years we've covered this team and really covering college and pro football in general, just looking at it. Great coaches get fired all the time. None of them get to this level without knowing the game inside and out, backwards and forwards. You have to be able to pass the test on the whiteboard the day you get the call from a head coach.
Unless your dad's the head coach.
I was going to say, not
okay,
all
all
of
right,
them.
yeah, we understand that. But we have had this conversation before. Those guys, if put in a room of other football people, they could have that conversation and they'd be fluent in the conversation. They'd be able to, any defense you want to talk about against any offensive set you want to talk about, they can all do it. How well can you teach it and get kids to execute it on game day, on the fly? How well can you relate to them, communicate with them, what it is you're asking them to do within the scheme that you have obviously a thorough understanding of? That is the biggest proof that you thoroughly understand a concept or a subject matter is, can you teach it? And that's true of teachers in a classroom. When you can't relate or you're struggling to connect and there's a distrust, and then you meet with failure, you've got another mountain to overcome beyond the football. And so I think all of this has been built up, to your point, Ira, to where now those barriers have been broken down, and it evidenced not only in improved play, but in their interactions where they joke with each other. They feel like they can say anything to each other, sarcastic, whatever, smart aleck. It's fun to listen to the interactions between him and his players. And then when you talk about the enthusiasm, when they get it right, yeah, the running over, jumping up and down, hugging guys, that's awesome because defense is emotional. You have to want to kick ass on defense to be any good at it. It requires a selfless level of play and energy. And I think, more than anything else, you have to have a whole hell of a lot of want to play good defense.
And you have to trust the guy.
Completely. It's putting you out there.
Exactly.
Yeah, that you're not going to look an ass when you execute what he's telling you to do.
And I think it's genuine. Again, those interactions seem very genuine. I again, at that moment, at that Miami game in 2020, I thought this guy's not going to work here. And it's completely different. And I think Randy Shannon's a big part of it. I think that mix has been really good for this defense.
And I don't think you would have worked here if Louisville had kept going. Literally, you can't. I don't know that you come out of that month.
Well, there's always a moment, right?
Yeah,
there's
and
always
I think
the
that
tipping point of something.
And let's hope that was like their Michael Jordan getting cut from his freshman basketball team. That's Adam Fuller's moment when he's win 6 straight Broyles Awards as best assistant coach in the country. He'll come back to that halftime moment against Louisville.
It's a fickle deal. I mean, the bottom line is I agree with everything we just said about how far they've come and how much they trust one another now. And
give up 45
go
LSU.
ahead and get your ass kicked by LSU and then turn around and lose on the road to Louisville with Cunningham going nuts. And
we're coming for you.
Talking about
we're coming for you.
An interesting thing about that, and you guys watch more NFL than I do. I think the difference in college, what's unique to college is that fit and that ability to relate is a much bigger deal.
It's huge.
I was talking to somebody actually at FSU recently about this topic. In the NFL, this new breed of dork football coaches, these head coaches, the guy at Miami, these geeks, these analytic types that are not your traditional football coach. It's not like seeing Tom Landry on the sideline or Mike Ditka. This is the different kind of guys. And what this person was saying is, but at the NFL level, to get those jobs, they've had to have so much success as a coordinator that they believe in you right away. You walk in, they've seen what you did.
Yeah.
They've seen the numbers. They want you to do that for them. So they buy in from that level. College is harder, I think, to get that buy-in. It has to be a little bit more relationally.
And you have more immature kids, too. You're dealing with 18-year-olds, 19-year-olds, not 27-year-old grown-ass men who are paid to get their ass out there and execute.
Right.
Yeah, no, I think that's absolutely true. Well, now I want to talk more football.
Well, the Falcons head coach is the son of a billionaire. He grew up a billionaire, so
see,
I feel like he can relate.
Do you ever do this? I do this with the Falcons. Now, you guys stink, but when I look at him, I think he's got no shot. You agree with me, right?
Yes.
Every time I see that guy, I'm like, no chance.
I should not care, but I really do care that his dad is like the CEO of FedEx.
Don't worry about it.
You can't grow up like that.
Just look at his dorky ass. He's got no chance. Every time I see him, I'm like, buddy, this is I hate to do that. It's so surface level. But every time I see him, like, you got no chance. We got to shut up. Hour number 2, forthcoming. Stay with.
Life is stressful. Dinner shouldn't be. That motto is why Register Sausage has been doing business in the Florida Panhandle and Lower Alabama for over 75 years. A proud sponsor of Seminole Headlines, Register Sausage always provides the best Southern smoked sausage to over 140 grocery stores and restaurants throughout the Southeast. Headliners have discovered the Register's difference. You can too. To find a store that carries Registers near you or to buy directly, head to registermeats.com. That's registermeats.com. Register Sausage. Yay, sausage!
You were always more than my mom. You were my role model, my best friend, and biggest supporter. You filled my days with unconditional love. And you also prepared for the day when you couldn't be here. Because of the woman you were back then, I'm able to be the woman I am now. Your planning made this moment possible.
Set your family up for life. Southern Farm Bureau Life Insurance. Your friends for life.
This is Andy Cohen. When I was a law enforcement officer, I devoted my life to a career of service and protection. Who's protecting you? Give me a call. 850-671-FARM. That's 671-FARM. Helping you is what we do best.
Southern Farm Bureau Life Insurance Company, Jackson, Mississippi.
not licensed to do business in all 50 states.
A lifelong Florida farmer, Wilton Simpson is ready to be Florida's next Commissioner of Agriculture. A devoted husband, father, and grandfather, Wilton Simpson grew up on his family's chicken farm in Trilby. One of us, Wilton shares our conservative values and, like any farmer, believes in working sun up to sun down. And Wilton's brought that same farmer's work ethic to Tallahassee as state Senate president. Simpsons fought to cut taxes for Florida families and fought for parents to have a say in their children's education. 100% pro-life, endorsed by the NRA for defending our Second Amendment rights. Wilton knows we have to crack down on illegal immigration. And Wilton Simpson has the complete and total endorsement of his friend and ally, Governor Ron DeSantis. In the Republican primary on August 23rd, vote for conservative farmer Wilton Simpson for Florida Commissioner of Agriculture. Paid political advertisement paid for by RSLC Florida IEPAC, P.O. Box 772516, Miami, Florida 33177, independently of any candidate or committee.
Many orthodontists in Tallahassee can straighten a smile, but at Birch Orthodontics, they're dedicated to providing the finest care possible. The experienced and friendly staff is trained in all of the latest techniques. So whether you need standard treatment like braces or Invisalign, or you have a more complicated case requiring extra attention, Birch Orthodontics is here for you. Set up your free consultation today by visiting birchorthodontics.com, BURCH orthodontics.com, or call 850-877-1692. At Birch Orthodontics, they create beautiful smiles.
Coming up next, more of the Jeff Cameron Show, live and local on Real Talk 93.3, WVFT, Greta, Tallahassee.
Breaking news this hour from townhall.com. I'm John Scott. Former President Trump in New York is planning to meet later today with members of the Republican Study Committee. This comes a day after an FBI raid on his Mar-a-Lago estate. Former White House staff member Dr. Sebastian Gorka tells the Salem Radio Network this is the kind of maneuver used by nations normally identified as banana republics.
It's an absolute outrage. This kind of behavior is fine 90 days before an election in Venezuela or Cuba or North Korea, but not in America.
The FBI reportedly looking for classified documents taken from the White House to Florida. Also at townhall.com, President Biden has signed a bipartisan bill to boost the semiconductor industry. White House correspondent Greg Cluxton reports.
In a South Lawn signing ceremony, the president touted the $280 billion package.
A once-in-a-generation investment in America itself.
He said the new law would create more high-tech jobs in the U.S., deal with the computer chip shortage, and help the country better compete with China.
We need to make these chips here in America to bring down everyday costs and create jobs.
Republicans who supported the bill said it was important for national security. Greg Clugston, the White House.
Powerful explosions have rocked a Russian airbase in Crimea, killing one person and wounding several others. Earlier, Ukrainian officials said at least 3 Ukrainian civilians were killed, 23 wounded by Russian shelling in the last 24 hours, including an attack not far from the Russian-occupied Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant. The Ukrainians in recent weeks have been mounting counterattacks in Russian-occupied areas. On Wall Street, the Dow is down 41 points, and the Nasdaq off 153. More at townhall.com.
Hey, I'm Andy. If you don't know me, it's probably because I'm not famous. But I did start a men's grooming company called Harry's. The idea for Harry's came out of a frustrating experience I had buying razor blades. Most brands were overpriced, overdesigned, and out of touch. At Harry's, our approach is simple. Here's our secret. We make sharp, durable blades and sell them at honest prices for as low as $2 each. We care about quality so much that we do some crazy things, like buy a world-class German blade factory. Obsessing over every detail means we're confident in offering a 100% quality guarantee. Millions of guys have already made the switch to Harry's, so thank you if you're one of them. And if you're not, we hope you give us a try with this special offer. Get a Harry starter set with a 5-blade razor, weighted handle, shave gel, and a travel cover, all for just $3 plus free shipping. Just go to harrys.com and enter 3388 at checkout. That's harrys.com, code 3388. Enjoy.
Every great construction project, whether it's a new addition or renovation, starts with a plan. At T-Spark, we are excited when our clients contact us to assist with that plan. Through our team of architects, draftsmen, engineers, we can help you with your project's planning and design, potentially saving costs in the long run. Whether you have a residential or commercial project, we look forward to working with you. Call us today or visit us at tsparkconstruction.com. License number CGC 1525336.
Many orthodontists in Tallahassee can straighten a smile, but at Birch Orthodontics, they're dedicated to providing the finest care possible. The experienced and friendly staff is trained in all of the latest techniques. So whether you need standard treatment like braces or Invisalign, or you have a more complicated case requiring extra attention, Birch Orthodontics is here for you. Set up your free consultation today by visiting birchorthodontics.com, BURCH orthodontics.com, or call 850-877-1692. At Birch Orthodontics, they create beautiful smiles that last a lifetime.
It's time for Seminole Headlines, featuring Warchant.com's Jeff Cameron, managing editor Ira Schofel, and senior writer Corey Clark. Your weekly dose of all things FSU, pistols, and pies starts right now. Here's Jeff Cameron.
Hour number 2, headliner questions, and away we go. Thanks for being with us. Appreciate you joining us. Get to your questions momentarily. Our thanks to Birch Orthodontics. I actually had to ghost Birch Orthodontics yesterday. I got caught up. Schedules are crazy these days with orientation, going back to school, football practice in the morning. So I felt terrible. We called and said, gonna have to push back to next week. But you know what? Being the pros that they are, they were like, we got you, Jeff. We got you. Let's reschedule right here, right now. Get this thing on the book so that you can come back next week and we can check on Clark. I said, I'll do that. And we did it. And it's done just like that.
And that's
Pro's pro.
That's not just because you're Jeff Cameron.
No,
I mean, that plays a
no.
small role.
Probably.
You get that treatment everywhere you
That's
go.
pretty true, yeah.
But in Dr. Birch and their customer service is great. They expect you to be at the appointments if you're going to be there.
They'll just not show up. I called.
But they will work with you. And I ran into Dr. Birch and some of her staff the other night at a local eating establishment. They were having a little meeting, or I guess socializing after work.
Yeah.
And
they get loose over there at Birch Orthodontics.
This was pretty subdued.
Starting around noon.
Seemed a little subdued. It was an evening dinner. But here's what's interesting, though. So somebody had texted me, a mutual friend of ours texted me and said, hey, tell Dr. Birch thanks for sending lunch over to our school.
How about that?
And I said, what was the occasion? And this person said, I don't know. They just said, hey, our meals were provided. The teachers' meals preparing for school to start were provided by Dr. Birch. So apparently, when I saw her that night, it just ran into her that night.
You said, what gives? Where's the lunch?
And why haven't I got one?
Well, that's right. Seminole Headlines.
That's not the message
apparently,
to take.
Well, Dr. Birch sends meals to like all the, I think maybe all the middle schools and high schools before, as they're going through the planning process.
That's a smart
to the teachers,
savvy move, savvy.
I mean, it's not bad marketing.
That's
It's
good
not bad
marketing.
marketing.
No,
It
I
tells
see
you-
it working.
Hey, let's not be cynical.
Well,
she might just be. I mean, I know who
you
I'm
think
talking
so, do
to.
you? Yeah.
I know who I'm talking to, but don't be cynical. She might just be doing it because they're teachers and they're administrators.
Could be.
Shannon would appreciate that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's a nice gesture. It just shows again great members of the community. And when you support Birch Orthodontics, the website is birchorthodontics.com. When you support Dr. Birch and have them, not only do they do great work, but they also reinvest in the community and into us.
And also into the football team.
Yes.
I mean, you won't believe the wide
The stacks
receiving
of
core
money
that's coming
she's-
next year.
the stacks of money she's
It's going to be
handing out.
ridiculous.
Dr. Birch throwing around six figures.
They're going to call them the Birch
Four.
Four. The Birch Four, because those 4 wide receivers she's bringing in.
Hey, by the way, so this is a weird question to start with, but I think Sky Ninja earned his way to the top of the list right off the bat here with a little donation for the cause. What are the realistic expectations for FSU baseball? Sorry, baseball dad here in Monroe, Georgia, and my son. Yeah, he says it, though. He says, hey, sorry. And my seat just went down. Sorry, baseball dad here in Monroe, Georgia, and my son wanted me to ask. Go Walnut Grove High School. I think the realistic expectations for Seminole baseball is that they're going to be a good team.
I just liked how slow you got. Sky Ninja, you're the best, buddy. He's a frequent
he's
question
great.
asker. Yeah, man. I just can't imagine they're going to strike out as much. They're probably going to feel the baseball better. And Wyatt Crowell's a really good pitcher. Who's the other kid that's coming back that we liked? Come on, gang. Not Messick, not Hubbard. It was one of the other relievers. They got
yes, one of like 10 relievers that we like. It's not baseball season,
but they got arms, man. They got arms. It's just a matter of, I guess, finding some guys that'll be the weekend guys. But Wyatt Crowell is one of the anchors for sure.
I really like the fact that he's bringing over his whole staff. And I know there were other people in the mix that they could have looked at, and I think he would have gotten a good assistance no matter what he did. But I really like the fact that he got, I mean, those guys, obviously, Restano, unbelievable track record at Notre Dame. The other guy's a really good recruiter in the state of Florida. And they obviously, man, they hit some magic, that combination at Notre Dame. And I'm really excited about that whole staff. And there's a lot of excitement in that stadium, man. They're you know, again, you want to tear it down.
Oh, I would have torn it down years ago.
That's probably not going to happen right now.
It's a dump.
But it is, there's a lot of excitement and buzz around that program.
Carson Montgomery is who I was thinking.
Saw some standing water there.
Hey, I'll tell you what,
this
if they can get Carson Montgomery to be consistent,
yeah,
and be like a weekend starter, that would be a huge deal.
He had an ERA of 5.
But I mean,
we gotta have to lower that, Carson. You're too good to have an ERA of 5.
He will.
Okay.
Got
It's gonna
great
happen.
stuff.
Guys, sky's the limit for FSU baseball. Let's move it along here.
Okay.
Jonathan Conrad writes, sorry, I'm not supposed to say your last name, I don't suppose, but it is on a public forum.
Oh,
Anybody can
JC.
see. Yeah, he's
Depends on what he has to say.
Well,
here.
he's a great guy. All right, gentlemen, let's pretend for a moment that we live in a world where you can make a definitive prediction without being destroyed later for not having proper clairvoyance. Social media will instead love you for your boldness and shower you with praises and gifts.
Seems like social media.
That's normal.
Yeah. What happened yesterday to Ira after he came on my show and said they'll win 9 games or more?
That's not what I said.
But did you see Twitter?
You didn't.
Did you read Twitter?
You didn't dismiss it. I only tune in now to see if that picture's ever going to change.
Hey, I haven't finished the question.
I almost sent you a picture of my graduation.
Oh, that'd be hilarious.
That's what
that would be hilarious. Yeah. So let's finish the question here. Right after the part about showering you with praises and gifts for your boldness. Without ending a sentence with, but that doesn't mean I'm saying ... What players or segment can you say are great, even compared to better teams, without having a caveat?
I mean,
question.
But the problem is, how do you define great? Because the when you talk about Florida, what's great at Florida State is a pretty high freaking bar.
One of them just got elected to the Hall of Fame.
I mean, are you going to say Jamie Robinson and Akeem Dent are great? No, you're not going to say that.
Amari Cooper is
the
not
answer
great.
to Jonathan's question is none of them.
No, that's true.
The answer to Jonathan's question is
There
none of them.
are some individual players who could be great.
Yeah.
But there's no segment you would go into this year saying that's a great segment. But,
correct. There is not one segment that is great.
But again, you're
the bar is high.
If Jamie Robinson's the first team All ACC safety and Akeem Dent ends up being a second team All ACC safety, I mean that's about as good as you're going to ask for. I mean that's
they can be really good players,
but I wouldn't say it's great.
They're not great. Yeah, they're not great. So I think that's fine.
But was Derwin James great at Florida State?
Well, they didn't use him right, but
he wasn't great.
No,
he was also hurt.
Wasn't great.
No,
they really butchered the hell out of that one, and we all knew it. Like while we were watching it, we were like, "What are you guys doing? What kind of dumbassery is going on
Have
here?"
him lock down that tight end.
It was the dumbest thing ever. And what was weird about it was,
when you got T-Mac out wide, he doesn't need help.
It didn't take any football savvy. Everybody understood when that dude goes pro, he's going to be awesome, and he is.
Well, no, the NFL teams didn't because
he did.
They picked there are 23 guys picked ahead of him.
I thought he was 17th.
I thought he was in his 20s.
Either way, he was picked in the first round. They knew he was going to be.
A lot of teams passed on him. So
because
if I'm Derwin James, I got a bunch of chips on my shoulder.
Well,
because they all passed over me.
Because he was misused here and he was hurt half the time. It still pisses me off. It's ridiculous. I know you guys aren't at scrimmage, but do you have any idea about the format? Is it ones versus ones? This is from Mike. Twos versus twos, ones versus twos. Travis taking on Tate. Mike and the boys scheming it up against Fuller and Johnny. You know, basically, what's the deal?
Pretty much everything they do is ones and ones, twos and twos, threes and threes. But what they do is they do mix a lot. Randy Shannon, if you watch the interview with Randy Shannon today, he spoke to the media.
Oh, you're right. He was 17th. I apologize.
There you go.
So I nailed it.
That's my fault. That's my bad.
How about this guy right
you
here?
You can be more effusive in your apology.
I really
top
do
of the
apologize.
Head, no reference there, right? Just boom.
I really do. That was crazy.
Yeah,
How'd
well,
you know
it's not
that?
crazy. I know a lot of things. Go ahead.
The Randy Shannon talked about how much they rotate, and they don't feel like they have any starters at linebacker. We would probably disagree and feel like they do have some starters at linebacker, but they rotate those guys so much that sometimes it'll be ones versus ones, but several of the guys on the defense, several of the guys on the offense will be guys you don't think are going to be starting. But generally it's the line of scrimmage that the line of scrimmage and the quarterback usually is what determines if it's the ones or the twos, because a lot of the other guys kind of rotate in, but they almost never go ones against twos and twos versus ones. It's almost always ones and ones.
What happens?
Good on good, I like to say.
Good on good.
Not great on great. Not at Florida State.
One day it will be great on great.
Someday.
That would have been great if Jimbo was like 2013.
It's
Yeah, we
great on
went great on great today.
Ira,
we went all time versus all time.
I got to tell you, Ira, I don't know why I didn't notice this until today, but the picture you took of Chip and Gene is a fantastic photo.
Thanks. You know,
Great job with that photo on your
appreciate
Twitter account. I'm serious. That's a great picture.
Chip, the next day I saw him. He's like, man,
Why don't y'all put the last names to those?
Chip Baker and Gene Deckeroff.
There we go. Now
And
let's
Everybody
let
knows who
everybody
Chip
in.
and Gene are.
Let's let
Everybody
everybody
knows.
in.
Yeah,
They were out of practice.
Could have been
last
Gene
week.
Williams.
Gene Deckeroff, who's retired from covering Florida or calling Florida State football
Didn't
games.
he look fresh? Didn't he look
did.
like he was in a great mood?
Heard they were putting on the full pad, so he came out to check him out. And he, but anyway, I took that picture, and the next day Chip was like, man, you blew up my timeline with that picture. He goes, everybody just wanted to see Gene. And I said, no, man, people love Chip Baker too, buddy.
Yeah,
Stop
by
being
the
so
way,
humble.
I'm going to make sure that I get to every Twitter question today. Like, I'm going to
Oh,
really
that's
work
good.
hard. Let me tell you why. Ira went ahead and answered the ones we didn't get to last time, just feeling guilty, and then
did.
it just made me look like an ass.
Have
Like,
you-
these people are like,
You went to Twitter and answered.
Yeah.
I did.
Oh,
Now I'm
every,
man of the
every
people.
one of them.
yeah, you are. It's
You
true.
gonna do that on Facebook?
You know what I think
No.
happened? I think he was bored.
Probably.
But he did go back and answer every one. I was like, all right, Ira, Jesus.
Because I knew you
get
screwed
it.
him again.
I didn't screw.
I
It
mean-
can't get to everybody. What do you want me to do? And some of them are repetitive.
Well, right now we could be getting to him. Is all I'm saying.
This isn't,
We could be
quality
getting 'em
radio does
right-
not
right
consist
now.
of me speed reading questions on the air. That would suck. We're the
Hey,
thing here,
let's
partner.
See. Let's see. Why don't we see if it sucks?
Uh-huh.
Let's give it a run.
Ryan
Give it a run and
writes,
see.
I'll shut your mouth
Sorry.
and I'll try to give it a go. All right, hardcore, since you're a fitness guru now,
Mm.
if FSU wins 8 games, will you attempt that Stephen Dix workout from last year? How many tries will it take you to break the rock with a sledgehammer?
Oh, that's a good question.
That is a
If
good
they win 8 games, yeah. we
Hurry
should-
it up with your answer. Let's go. I'm trying to get to this next question.
Sorry. It's off. I didn't read these ahead of time.
Come
so I
on,
don't know.
man.
I would say 5, probably 5 with the sledgehammer. Do you think? How long does it take a normal person? Like how long?
I mean,
does it take-
Robert Cooper took 2. It seems
Oh,
like it
okay.
doesn't
So 6.
shatter one.
I think 6 or 7. If it took I'm going to guess Robert Cooper's stronger than
I want to see you just carry.
I want to see if I can lift it up and
that's-
put it down, but probably 6 or 7. I think.
Sean writes, who will have a better 2023 class, football or basketball?
This is rapid.
Basketball, maybe football. One of the two. Ira, what do you think?
Probably basketball, but I think I don't know, but yeah, probably basketball.
I'd like him to go ahead and start getting some more big time recruits in football. Ira, but are they saving all that for
It's happening. They just
2024?
got a bunch of 4-stars.
I don't know. They
They're-
got
it's
the
coming.
running
It's
back,
coming.
right?
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah,
big
the
time
Singleton kid.
Yeah.
Mookie writes, hey, Jeff, can't wait for W's and L's. Are you guys doing that next week or game week? I think I should wait for game week to do W's and L's, guys. What do you think?
Yeah, probably. Or you do it with Lang, right? You
Yeah,
do it
me
with
and Tom do it, but he wants to know. I mean, it was a question.
I would
so I'm answering it.
say, we need to do it the Thursday before Duquesne, probably.
I'll probably do it right that week before. Yeah,
Maybe we could do
that
it
week.
Tuesday, and you could just sit out, and then so you can save it for Thursday.
Brandon writes, in what areas have your preconceived notions entering fall camp most changed positively and negatively? Okay. All right, this is easy. Go. Corey, you start.
Why? I was going to say wide receiver, but because I didn't think. No, skip me. Pass. I don't like this pressure. You're going too
He's
fast.
turned up the tempo.
I don't like it.
He's going too hot now. He's
I
coming-
can't think.
Man,
I'd be awesome on Jeopardy.
we're doing the $20,000 pyramid, and you're having to pass,
I'd
baby.
ring in and be like,
what do you
I
got,
don't know.
Ira? What do you got, Ira?
I will take wide receiver for most positive. I 2 players in particular. Johnny Wilson, I hoped he would take this jump. He has taken that jump. And I also think that Deuce Spann is going to be more of a weapon than I expected. And I think Micah Pittman's continuing to be a guy. A position that I'm not as excited about.
Yeah.
I probably tight end. I mean,
But you weren't anyway.
Weren't your
was
expectations
hopeful.
for
I was
tight end
hopeful.
in the dirt,
I
in the
was hoping.
dump?
I think I was hoping.
I had 0 expectations for tight
Or
end.
defensive end, because those are the only 2 positions I'm concerned about. And I'm not concerned about defensive end, but I'm not like fired up about
You don't get
defensive
multiple answers, Ira. You give me the answer and we move it along.
I'm about nuance over here.
I'll tell you this. I came into camp with very low expectations for the tight end group, and they remained very low.
They met
for
them.
the
They met
tight end
those
group.
low expectations.
And I would also tell you that I came into camp really kind of curious about the defensive ends, but I feel good about them. My
All right.
expectations have gone up. I feel like they'll be more than serviceable.
I need
Now-
you. Yeah, I need you and Tom to kind of lift my spirits.
More than serviceable. Burke writes, we talk about the players' experience adding to their
Cornerback
growth.
is my answer.
Oh, Jesus. We talk about their players. You missed your
All
window.
right, I'm just
missed
saying.
the window.
That was your one pass.
We talk about the players' experience adding to their growth year over year, but do you think our coaching staff has learned lessons from last year to improve their personal performance? Nobody asked Mike, how are you going to improve your game or time management this season?
I think so. I mean, I just think like we've talked about it a little bit before that, yeah, Mike Norvell made mistakes last season. The Jacksonville State was a huge mistake by all parties.
Oh,
and
the way
the
way they prepared for that is terrible.
But
they treated it like a scrimmage and they got burned.
But the point I would make is Jimbo Fisher made mistakes his first few years as a head coach, and he got better. I mean, he just did. They wouldn't have if Jimbo Fisher was coaching in 13 or 14, I think they win those 2 games in 2012. I think he was an immature coach. I think 2011, going and losing that game to Wake Forest with EJ standing on the sideline until you got down in a big hole. That was a mistake. Coaches make mistakes when they get to this level. I think you have to learn from him. I think he can learn from him.
That was a cataclysmic mistake too, the EJ thing. And that was
Ridiculous.
almost spiteful. Like he wanted to prove that he wasn't lying during the week about EJ's availability. Seriously.
Yeah.
Because he told all the media that it couldn't happen. And we all knew otherwise. It wasn't the first time he straight up lied about whether or not a player had practiced or not. And that's what he got mad at me about one time because I knew he lied. And listen, that's not gamesmanship. That was just him. And then at the end, he realized we're going to lose the game.
So now I got to
put him in. I look like an a-hole, and they still lose the game anyhow. Although that was a dart. That throw EJ made before the that throw is fantastic.
I thought they were going to come back and beat those pesky Demon Deacons that day in 11, but it didn't quite happen.
I think that from here on out, they will be referred to as those pesky Demon Deacons.
I just urge people to remember that Jimbo Fisher made a lot of mistakes early.
Well, and he also
plays every game close because of the amount of how few plays he runs.
It was weird that, like, I remember very early on in the Pitt game, it was right before half. Florida State was up 21-10. Pittsburgh had just run a ball. It's like a minute left, and Jimbo called a timeout to see if they could get the ball back. I'm like, man, that's not Jim. You just called a timeout. Now, if they pick up this first down, they can go get points. That's me. That's me being scared, coaching scared in my head. And I even tweeted about it. Like, it's not like Jimbo to call a timeout there. He'd like them to run out the clock normally, but he called a timeout. Terrence Brooks intercepts the next pass. It's 28-10 at half because they go down and score again. I think of O'Leary or something.
It was the Jameis touchdown pass to O'Leary where he leans back and it's a flick and it's unbelievable.
I mean, think about Jimbo's. And I know people are killing Norvell on the 4th downs, but Jimbo had some crazy ones. Remember the ones the one where it was 4th and 1.5, or it was 4th and 3, but he swore it's 4th and 1/2. Or
he argued with me in my interview on the air.
It was 4th and 1, and he said it was 4th and 3.
Yeah, I said, did you think about going for it on 4th and 1? He said, well, we didn't have a 4th and 1. And I'm on the air. It's live. It sucked. I'm like, well, yeah, you did. And I was there. I'm looking at it. And he goes, no, we didn't. It was 4th and 3. In no world was it 4th and 3. You could look at it from every angle.
Like, it's not Roberto Aguayo. Yeah. It's Ricky Aguayo kicking, who missed 3 field goals in that one quarter. It's like, man, how about sending a message? It's 4th at whatever if it's 1.5 or 3, you're Florida State. You're playing North Carolina, who has one of the worst defenses in the country. Just go get 3 yards and go score a touchdown.
Sean writes, does Jeff ask the first posted questions first or last? Facebook and Twitter. Don't know, Sean. I skip all over the place. Walter writes, good afternoon, gents and Showtime. In 93, 2000, and 2013, FSU held 7 of their opponents to fewer than 10 points. Jeez, that's dominating. If Duquesne scores fewer than 10 points, are there any other games where that is likely? No.
Could be.
No.
Syracuse. Could happen against Syracuse.
Man,
they shut down that running back.
No.
Come on.
Nope.
No, I don't. It's just
likely.
hard to do
The
that.
question was likely.
Likely, probably
it's not likely. Central Florida Noel writes, if we beat LSU in week 2, can someone convince Coach Norvell to do the post-game interview with a subtle but noticeable fake Southern drawl?
I like it.
Maybe talk a little about his family. That is so good. Central Florida Noel, I hope that can happen.
If there's any ill will with him and Brian Kelly, I would definitely suggest it. I don't know if there is, though.
I'm going to ask Mike to do that.
All right. Hey, when we go to a break, can we have a little staff meeting, a little discussion about like the tempo of the questions?
We can talk about it. Yeah. Really quickly, though,
I feel like we went from 33 to 78 or what?
There's a reference.
I like it. We skipped the 45. We skipped the 45.
We can get to the 45.
You want the 45?
You're listening to
trying to get through them all, Ira.
2-speed.
I don't want Ira one-upping me 2 minutes after the show ends and is in there typing away, answering every question under the sun. Vintage Noel writes, who's going to be more dangerous in the pass game out of the backfield? I'm assuming that's where Douglas will be at times. Jeff, sorry your Pirates can't beat Iros and my Orioles. We did beat you 8-1, like a drum.
But
had you not
two
won,
games in the series
had you not won a 1-0 game, you would have lost the series to the worst team in baseball.
2 out of 3, buddy.
Well, this could have, the World Series, but it was, no, he's rambling on at the end here. Anyhow, that first part is Who's going to be more dangerous in the pass game out of the backfield? I'm assuming that's where Douglas will be at times.
They've got some weapons, man. I think Toffoli and Rodney Hill will be good weapons out there.
Rodney Hill,
I like Rodney Hill a lot.
He makes some flashes every time you see him with the ball. That's a different kind of speed that kid has.
Another good evaluation for the staff. He's a nice player.
Well, we'll see, Ira. Let's see it in the
nice
game.
Player.
He does look like a nice player.
Tom writes, hypothetically speaking, if there was a wedding shower on October the 1st for your son and his fiancée, and the time was still tentative, what's your best guess on the kickoff time for the weight game?
It's fair. This is all hypothetical. Just thinking out loud.
3:30.
I would say 3:30.
Little 3:30 action for that weight game, guys.
So have like maybe a 10 a.m. wedding. Those are normal, right? Would you get it over with?
Or a 7 p.m. wedding where you're feeling good after a big win over Wake.
Here's the problem. 7 p.m., man. The game might be 31-30 with 3 minutes left, and it's 7:06.
The wedding starts a little late.
Exactly right.
A little late. Everybody huddle around the TV out front here.
If he's your son, he's going to understand, I would think, and be like, "Okay, we just hold it back. Act like you got, you got car trouble.
We're having a problem with the chocolate fountain.
But
hang in there, everybody.
All the wives and girlfriends are going to be staring at their husbands who are, if the game
phone.
doesn't go their way.
Miserable at that
wedding. Are you
thinking
thinking about that game?
But imagine like walking down the aisle, and then our man Deuce Spann catches the game-winning touchdown with 2 seconds left.
That's a party that lasts all night.
But no, I'm saying like there's a huge roar as they're taking their vows. You don't want that either. So you'd rather start a little late than start on time and then have a reaction in the middle of the wedding.
What game do you think Brady Scott's having his wedding during?
I don't know. Probably Duquesne. I don't know. I'm going to try to think whatever the most painful loss
Clemson
of this next season is. Brady Scott's nuptials will be later that night. Right there in the middle of it.
All right. Seminole Headlines, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV. It continues in a moment.
Hi, this is Dr. Marianne Arbalou, candidate for the Leon County School Board District 1. Did you know that our schools are experiencing academic and financial declines? Evidence that we need a leadership change. With my credentials, skills, and diverse work experience, I will strive to improve the use of your tax dollars. We've had enough tax increases. I will work to increase experiential learning opportunities. We know that students learn better by doing, and we should create more entrepreneurial programs where students learn about business and don't simply get jobs, but become job creators. I will be transparent and accountable. Your voice matters, and I want to rebuild trust. And I'll advocate for better salary and career initiatives for all staff, focusing on more support for our teachers. My name is Marianne Arbalou, and I'm asking for your vote on August 23rd for Leon County School Board District 1. Thank you.
Paid for and approved by Marianne Arbalou for Leon County School Board District 1.
So let's say you're considering buying a new home in the current climate. All heard that demand is high, inventory is low. So how do you get a leg up on the rest of the buyers all making offers on the same house as you? Oh, that's a toughie. But the first place I'd suggest you start is with a call to my friend Shannon at Legendary Home Loans. Shannon will set you up with a complete pre-approval underwriting. This used to be an upgrade, but nowadays it's got to be standard. You want to get your offer on a new home pushed to the front of the line, you need a TBD full underwriting approval from Legendary Home Loans. You'll shorten or even remove your financing contingency, and the sellers will know that your offer is real and ready to go. It's tough out there these days, folks, so why not have the advantage of a proven winning team in your huddle? Get pre-approval underwriting from my friend Shannon with the one and only Legendary Home Loans. Call now, 844-FSU-LOAN, 844-FSU-LOAN, or just visit FSUHomeLoans.com. FSUHomeLoans.com.
Equal housing lender. NMLS number 2270146.
Over 50 years ago, when Paul Nicholson founded Paul's Termite and Pest Control, he had one goal in mind: provide the best service possible to his neighbors so they felt like family. Your problem was his problem, so today it's our problem. Paul's service area is our home. It's where our kids go to school, where we shop, and where we get involved with community organizations. So if some out-of-town company knocks on your door and begins pressuring you to sign an agreement for termite or pest control, you can bet on a few things. Number one, you'll never see that person again. Number two, your technician is likely to change often. And number three, your money will not stay in North Florida. These companies are sending your money to home offices in Atlanta, Orlando, Salt Lake City, or even Great Britain. Paul's Termite and Pest Control knows local means something to you. The health of your Tallahassee home, family, and pets is our number one priority. For the elimination of termites and pests and a greener lawn too, call your local company with local solutions. Paul's Termite and Pest Control.
Barry knows cool. He's keeping you comfortable.
This is Kyle, Service Manager from Barano Heating and Air. Schedule an appointment from your mobile device to learn about our Total Comfort Service Program. With guaranteed same-day service, 15% off necessary repairs, and $25 berry books to use towards air filters and other products. Turn to the experts at Carrier and Barano Heating and Air. Any day, anytime, anywhere. Online at baranoac.com.
Florida license CAC 1816-186.
Life is stressful. Dinner shouldn't be. That motto is why Register Sausage has been doing business in the Florida Panhandle and Lower Alabama for over 75 years. A proud sponsor of Seminole Headlines, Register Sausage always provides the best Southern smoked sausage to over 140 grocery stores and restaurants throughout the Southeast. Headliners have discovered the Register's difference. You can too. To find a store that carries Registers near you or to buy directly, head to registermeats.com. That's registermeats.com. Register Sausage. Yay, sausage!
Seminole Headlines returns now. Head to YouTube and search for Warchant TV today to catch the show live or on demand. Now, here's Jeff Cameron, Ira Schofel, and Corey Clark.
No rest for the weary. Let's keep it going. Seth
Are you doing
writes,
Facebook now?
I'm saying on Twitter right here. I'm getting every one of them.
45. We're trying to get to the 45.
Have our kickers, punters really been as bad as everybody's been saying over the last few weeks? I can't stand having bad special teams units, and I'm worried it'll cost us games again this year, just like last. That's from Seth.
No, the punters have been the punter. Mastromanno, I think, has been pretty darn good, except for one horrible day.
Yeah, that day, I don't know if he was under the weather. He was awful that day.
Yeah, him and the other kid.
I don't
that
know
are
if
both
we're supposed
good.
to talk about that, but whatever. He had a bad day.
Well,
People had it.
Norvell talked about it.
Yeah, I think Papuchas even said.
Yeah,
but in the backup punter's a good punter, man, especially
he's
for a
gonna be
backup
good.
walk on. But neither one of them could kick it. They just were struggling. But after that and before that, they've been really good. The kicking, we'll see, man. It's hit or miss right now.
I mean, you're talking about the field goals.
Field goal kicking. Yes.
Yeah, field goal kicking's been up and down. I think they're going to be good in the return game. I just do. I think they rep it to death, first of all. Secondly, I like the guys that they have back there returning it. So I think they're going to be good back there.
Swiss Irish just asked in the chat, is that Mastromanno only kicking with one leg now? I don't believe so. I think he's still kicking with two.
He's going with both.
And after the scrimmage the other night that John Papucha said he's working on some other stuff that I can't discuss right now.
He's headbutting. He's headbutting the ball.
What else is he doing?
I don't know, cartwheel? I don't know.
Like a soccer throw-in?
But now I'm so
what
excited
could a punter
to see
be
it.
working on that you can't
We're
talk
going to see
about?
it against Duquesne.
How about he runs backward and bicycle kicks?
That'd be
Bicycle
cool.
kicks. That'd be actually really neat.
It would be neat. It would be ineffective, but it would be neat.
And inefficient.
And by the way, I have to say this too. I actually hate it very not so subtly pisses me off that he kicks with both legs. Stop doing that. Get good with one of them. Just get really good with one of them and stick to it.
It's an irrational complaint.
Hey, look,
get good at kicking with one leg.
Kyrie Irving's good at laying it both up with both hands.
And missing 45
He
games a
misses a lot of
year
games
like an
here.
a-hole.
There is a practical use for it, though.
Yeah, you roll out to each side. You can roll out to one side or the other. What if he's working on kicking it off a blocker downfield? Like aiming at a guy that
would be cool.
One of the guys that's blocking the gunners, you kick it right at his ass, and it kicks off his leg 10 yards downfield.
Like
it's
a
your
sniper.
ball, right?
Take him out.
Just kick a low line drive at his foot.
Yeah. Without talking specifics, writes Dustin, do you feel over the course of a few practices the offensive playbook is evolving in year 3 under Norvell? Well, this has an awful lot to do with whether or not they can block it up more consistently and if the receivers are better. As that evolves, I think the playbook evolves. Otherwise, you're just going to play to the very specific strengths that you have. So, yes, I think it will evolve some this year because they're going to be better able to block it up than they were last year. I think that's a fair answer, right? Let's keep it moving. FSU alum 04 writes, I know this is Michael Langston's world, but are you guys aware of any silent commitments? Also,
if we were, we couldn't say, but I'd know.
Also, what's the reasoning or why do recruits silently commit? Well, they like to time those things for effectiveness sometimes.
I think they're
That's not as big a thing, though, as it used to be, right? The silent commits?
No, because because it is just so orchestrated now. But yeah, I think there's probably a couple of guys at least that they feel maybe those guys have told them they're coming, or they feel really good that they're coming. So yeah, I think that there probably are some, but yeah, they time them out, and they've been doing. All staffs do that. They kind of look for strategic times for guys to
when
announce.
Bryce commits.
And not everybody. Real quick, some guys are do their own thing. But some players, they do have more.
We won't be Mickey Mousing it over here, Corey. You won't have to worry about it.
You're not going to do a video?
We're not going to do a stupid video. We're not playing 3-card Monty. We're not going to dance around like a-holes. It'll just be like, here we go.
Well, the Clark household, that's all we're doing.
Okay,
it's going to be a week-long celebration.
Yeah. And then we'll all hate you.
Yeah, it's gonna be like it's gonna be clues. He's gonna give clues.
He's gonna have a signing ceremony and then like walk out in the middle of it, and then reschedule it.
Yeah, well,
and
I'll
then
have to
walk
come
out
back
again in the middle of it.
Yeah. Noel Tiggety writes, "Good day, fellas. I've heard you comment on linebacker play improving. Which, if any of these guys, will be a plus player in coverage?" Yeah, that's a good question. By the way, at the end of this, he says on a side note, great to see Trent Forrest signing with the Hawks.
Yeah, I was excited
great.
about that.
I might become a Hawks fan.
Yeah,
now.
man.
There you go. Hey, I took my kids to their first ever NBA game. It was the Hawks. We got
the
the
Hawks
jersey.
should certainly use a point guard that can guard.
Yeah. Oh, that is for sure.
Yeah.
So I'm only comfortable with maybe one of those guys in coverage, and it's Tatum Bethune, and that's he's probably the most he's not probably he's the most complete linebacker they have. Deloach is okay. I still don't want Lundy covering anybody. I know what kind of shape he's in. That is not an area of strength. Coverage from the linebackers, they're better.
Yeah, they are better, and it's tough, man. That's what college football is. People get good athletes matched up against your linebackers. That's why teams only have 2 linebackers now.
But it's also why you got to recruit those guys who are, and they got to get there. Yeah, they don't really have that on the roster just yet. I do think Tatum Bethune is an upgrade in that department.
They need to go get like a Nakobe Dean.
That's a good idea. Maybe mention that to Norvell too.
The next time we're talking off the record, I'm like, have you ever thought about like maybe recruiting guys like Nakobe Dean?
It seems like it would make your job a little easier.
Just say
I bet Mike would appreciate a little nugget like that, right?
Advice.
Chris writes, you guys are at practice every day. Do you feel good about our staff outside of Norvell in terms of how well they are connecting with the guys? Well, we talked about this earlier, Chris. Adam Fuller's doing a much better job with it. I think so. Energy levels, great, first of all. He asked about energy levels. No, that's great.
Guys that stand, I'll just go through a few guys that stand out in that area. David Johnson, the running backs coach, fantastic. I think offensive line, Alex Atkins, fantastic in that area. And I think Randy Shannon is a different kind of guy. He's not a player's coach necessarily. He's a little bit older. He's been a head coach, but I think the respect there between those linebackers and him is at a real high level. And then obviously Odell, what he's done through the years.
Odell got excited about what's our guy's name? The freshman. You said he was killing the guy.
Lions,
the freshman defensive tackle with the
Jarrett Jackson. He was going after today.
No, he was excited about
excited
him.
How well
play.
he was playing. Yeah,
he 55. I can't remember his name. 55
Tafasi.
Yeah,
Tafasi.
He got really fired up in a good way at him earlier today when he beat a 1-on-1.
By the way, he's played well this game.
Yeah, and he's not eligible this year. He's going to take an academic red shirt, so you're not going to see. I think it's Ao Tafasi, but you will see him next year.
Cool ass name for a defensive tackle.
He's big time, man. He's going to be a really nice player.
Do you guys think with how much the strength and conditioning is working, guys getting bigger, that maybe in a couple of years we're going to have a Bama table? Thanks. That's from J-Rod. J-Rod, I've been begging for a Bama table around these parts for, I don't know, going on 15 years.
Call it the Birch table.
The first time that I saw Alabama in their transformation, basically post-05, so after that first bad year for Nick Saban, and then the subsequent really good years that followed, I remember thinking Alabama rolls out of the tunnel looking different than everybody else. What are they doing there at Alabama for a nutritional standpoint?
Do you think we could get him to slow down the tempo just a little bit?
No.
What's weird is that it's not just the question. I thought he'd just get to the question.
The answers
quicker.
have to be snappy, baby.
I mean,
we're trying to get to all the questions.
It is
key.
hard to listen
Apparently,
to.
it's
Because
paramount.
I don't know that anybody ever listened to Seminole Headlines and thought, man, there's too much silence in Seminole Headlines. So now we have just.
I mean, there's a fine.
I won't respond to the Twitter anymore, man. I'm sorry. That wasn't a shot at you. I didn't even know you were going to see it.
I didn't take it as a shot. I'm just letting you know that I will not be the reason that these people who you care very deeply for get their questions answered. I'm going to make sure it happens.
Well, I care about the Facebookers, and apparently they just.
Oh, no, we're getting to them. But if you guys would shut up for a second and I can keep it moving, we'll get to them. Josh writes, don't want to drink the Kool-Aid. However, over under at 5
Flavor
touchdowns.
Aid, technically, Josh. Flavor Aid. It was Flavor Aid in Jonestown.
At 5 touchdowns for Deuce Spann this season, over under.
Ooh, that's a good number. And that's
under.
a good number.
Under, just because I'm
because you're a hater.
Yeah, I'm half glass empty half empty all the time.
I'll say under, but man, I think that's a good number.
He had 2 last year in Illinois on 5 catches.
Yeah.
You feel like he's going to get a few more targets this year, but still.
You sold me. I'm over.
All right.
I'm going under, but I like the number.
It's a good number.
It's a great number.
What about number of catches? If I put it at 18.
I might say under 18.
Under 18 catches?
I like 15 catches. He's going to have some games where he doesn't catch a pass.
Okay. All right. I think 18 is a good number.
Not a terrible number.
Not as good as 5.
You're right.
Touchdowns.
Josh won that one.
Sam writes over under top 30 defense and top 50 offense.
No and yes.
Top 30 defense.
I think they played too many good quarterbacks.
They can play great quarterbacks in this.
Yeah,
and this
tough.
is a league of quarterbacks. No, they won't be a top 30. Well,
So they get knocked out by that pass rush.
What metric? I mean, we got to look at all the numbers, man. So top 30, no.
Yards or scoring. If you did scoring, maybe top 30.
Top 50 offense.
Yeah, man. Yes. I mean, good grief. We're in year 3. You've got a guy that's been starting quarterback for 3 years.
They were terrible on offense last year, in truth.
If you're average, that's right around 53 to 48, like right there. You got to be top 50 offense. Come on, Mike. You're a Memphis beating teams 65 to
Brian's
50.
Brian's question, this next one is specific to me, but I want us to answer it, so I'm just going to treat it as if he asked all of us. If you're the head coach of the Noles for the Duquesne game, how do you coach the game? And I was saying this today to you, Corey. We were talking about it while we were watching practice. I mean, I'm as vanilla and bland as I could possibly be. Yes, I want to get certain guys certain reps, and yes, I would like to develop some sort of rhythm. But the truth is, this is a scrimmage game, man, and you can't treat it like that. You got to treat it like a real game. We know that.
Well, so then if you're really vanilla, isn't that treating it like a different kind of game?
I think you don't want to show LSU a whole lot.
They can't stop it. You can tell them what's coming. They ain't stopping it.
I think it's important to establish things.
I would establish certain looks to play off of. Right. I agree with you there. And I think they will do that. So that's kind of a vanilla approach still, though. It's that I'm going to show you some things that I'm going to play off of. I have 2 or 3 varieties off of this or plays off of this that I won't reveal. But, yeah, it is still a very vanilla game plan here. You don't want to do much. And I want to get a lot of people a lot of playing time. I mean, getting a bunch of people reps in this game. So that's how I'm approaching it. I really believe if you wanted, you could line up in an I formation, double tights, and run a 32 veer over and over again.
But I also think it's important for these guys who have not beaten anybody convincely in their lives
to do so.
To do that.
I agree, and I think you could.
Yeah, you don't want to be 14-6 at the half.
Oh, man. Buddy, don't even talk like that. If it's
be vanilla in the second half.
Well, you can be vanilla in the first half too, and still score more than 14 points. This is a physical mismatch that is really criminal. They're even playing the game. Go look at that Duquesne roster. I'm sorry. I know everybody's going to say, but Jacksonville State. No, Jacksonville State would beat Duquesne's ass. This is not a good game.
I was thinking about Jacksonville State because you mentioned Brady Scott earlier. Who's the transfer, the DB that transferred?
Malik Feaster.
Malik Feaster. Do you think maybe he goes to Brady Scott's wedding? Because he was there in the end zone with Brady Scott.
Guys.
While he...
Oh,
just saying. They celebrated a special moment.
He was there
together.
for the moment.
Yeah, he was there for the moment. He's in the background.
Jay Daddy writes, "Hello, gents. Assuming we're all optimists and FSU finishes 8-4, do you think it's more likely FSU enters the top 25 but falls out by season's end, never gets in the top 25 as revenge for the more fraudulent teams of the past, or that they finish the season in the top 25? 8-4, I think they're in the top 25 with this schedule.
I think if they beat Florida to go to 8-4, they probably finish like 25th or 24th, I think. I don't think they're going to get in and get out.
And then that bowl game puts them in 9-4.
Yeah.
Top 20.
You're beating West Virginia in the Car Care Bowl or something, and you're down 9-4.
2 questions, and Twitter is done.
Thank heavens.
Jason writes,
this has been relentless.
Are all the practices early in the morning? Yes.
It's a shocking odds.
Really
I know the scrimmage was at night, but I would think you'd want their bodies to get used to physical exertion in the middle of the afternoon or evening. Is there anything to this, or am I overthinking it? You're overthinking it.
They practice in the heat every day.
They do, but it is. I mean, yes, it's very hot.
It is
the morning.
Hot.
The morning is when they always practice.
And the DC Floridian writes, what would have happened to FSU football in the last 30 years if we had joined the SEC in the early 90s? We'd have more money, sure, but would we still have those 3 national titles and the cachet that comes with those? Well, let me say this real quickly.
Yep, you'd at least have the 2.
You at least have 2. Because lest we forget, the early 90s was not a banner time for the SEC.
SEC stunk.
And I'll give you an example off the top of my head. Correct me if I'm wrong. You'll probably remember this. You will too, because you were covering. So in 93, Florida was awesome. Yep. Top 10 team, top 5 team. Auburn was awesome that year. Bama was average.
But Auburn wasn't eligible.
Right. Yeah. Auburn wasn't eligible. Bama was average.
I got the stat for
Hold
you.
on a second. I'm finishing this up. The rest of the SEC, including LSU, they all sucked to high heaven. And as I remember, Florida State already played Florida. Florida State played Miami, and none of those SEC schools did. And they played Notre Dame that year. So, sorry, man. Florida State's schedule back then was even better than anybody in the SEC.
Here's the stat for you. Florida State finished in the top 5 in the 90s more times than the entire SEC combined. It was 10-9.
Well, the point,
SEC did not have.
Florida was not a dominant
Florida
league.
ran rough. Steve Spurrier ran roughshod through that conference.
They modernized. Florida modernized the SEC.
But
under Spurrier.
other than Tennessee in '98, Florida, it was Florida and nobody else.
Yeah,
it was
the
much
early
like
90s,
Florida State
Auburn
in the
was good.
ACC.
But yeah, and I bring this up all the time because we know that Jerry DiNardo and all those other bums they were never any good, and Georgia sucked.
Curly Hallman years.
I mean, Georgia was.
Well, Ray Goff got the short end of the stick. They should have given him a few more years, see if he could turn it around. Jim Donnan did some great things, obviously.
Seminole Headlines, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV continues in a moment.
Your local news now.
28-year-old Terrion Gordon is facing several charges over his alleged involvement in a shooting in Marianna. Gordon was arrested on August 5th by Chattahoochee police. According to the Marianna Police Department in July, Gordon was allegedly involved in a shooting. An arrest warrant was issued for him for aggravated assault with a deadly weapon and discharging a firearm in public. He was arrested and taken to the Gadsden County Jail. A Leon County grand jury has indicted a Tallahassee woman on first-degree murder charges in the death of her elderly mother. Bridget Folks hit her 80-year-old mother, Joan, in the head repeatedly with a candlestick holder, then stabbed her in the neck and stomach at the home they shared on Harbor Club Drive. Bridget told investigators that it had become difficult taking care of her mother who had dementia. She had been planning on killing her for a few months, claiming they could not afford a nursing home. She viewed the killing of her mother as putting her out of her misery. She is being held without bail. This is Rachel Lene with your Real Talk 93.3 local news update, brought to you by Macklemore Systems, Tallahassee's go-to Mac store. Check them out online at MacklemoreSystems.com.
This is meteorologist Paul Trombley with your Real Talk 93.3 weather update. Scattered thunderstorms likely this afternoon. Otherwise, sunshine mixed with clouds at times. Daytime highs approaching 89. South winds 5 to 10 miles per hour. Chance for scattered thunderstorms again tonight. Lows level off around 73. Partly cloudy skies. Scattered thunderstorms likely tomorrow. 90. Sunshine mixed with clouds at times. This report is brought to you by the Lawn Johns. For all your landscaping and lawn care needs, visit thelawnjohns.com. Right now, 90.
There's fun to be had every night at the Corner Pocket. Take home prizes on Trivia Tuesdays and Beer Bingo Thursdays. And kickstart your weekend with Martini Fridays. Plus, happy hour runs every weekday and game day specials every time the Noles take the field. Watch all the best games at the Corner Pocket's Vegas wall, featuring 560 inches of flat screen TV heaven.
Oh, really?
The best food, the best drinks, and the best place to watch all the games. Tallahassee loves the Corner Pocket.
Life is stressful. Dinner shouldn't be. That motto is why Register Sausage has been doing business in the Florida Panhandle and Lower Alabama for over 75 years. A proud sponsor of Seminole Headlines, Register Sausage always provides the best Southern smoked sausage to over 140 grocery stores and restaurants throughout the Southeast. Headliners have discovered the Register's difference. You can too. To find a store that carries Registers near you or to buy directly, head to registermeats.com. That's registermeats.com. Register Sausage. Yay, sausage!
Here's what you missed on the Greg Tish Show.
There's a TikTok that's going viral because of a butter softening method. They are putting the Vermont Creamery butter in the waistband of her pants. Give it 5 minutes. You can go and measure out your ingredients, and then your butter is ready to go. You cannot do this in Florida.
No.
Because your pants will be full of butter in 2 minutes. Somebody try it. Post on TikTok.
Unless it says juicy across the back.
The Greg Tish Show, Monday through Friday, 6 to 9 a.m., only on Real Talk 93.3.
Seminole Headlines returns now. Head to YouTube and search for Warchant TV today to catch the show live or on demand. Now, here's Jeff Cameron, Ira Schofel, and Corey Clark.
Rapid fire, bitches. Here we go. Facebook, we got 11 minutes.
Crank it up.
Tony writes, hey there, sausage lover. Has Coach Storms always had that rug on the top of his head, or am I mistaken? I don't think it's a rug.
I'm not asking him.
Oh, I'm certainly not going to bring it up.
No,
Tony,
chance.
you venture into those waters if you want.
Good luck.
Austin. By the way, I am a sleuth for this sort of thing. Tony, I will look closer again tomorrow. I don't think it's a rug. Austin writes, gentlemen, sounds like the linebacker. Oh, no, I already asked that question. Steve writes, greetings, gentlemen. I'm a loyal Warchant subscriber, but lots of changes are happening. Usually I renew very, very soon, but unsure if my subscription will automatically renew to the new site or the old. Please advise on the best way to stay a Warchant member.
Well, that's a good question.
Really good
Great
question.
job, Steve.
Corey knows exactly.
I got it. You type in warchant.com. Don't go to your bookmarks. Just go into your web browser.
Type in.
Delete it. Delete what's on there. Type in warchant.com. It'll take you to our new site, and you will register for $1 for the entire year.
It's
so
basically,
you're not keeping your old subscription. It's a new subscription, but it's for $1. So basically, you're getting it for free for a year.
And here's the trick, Steve. They'll also give you an option to get 4 months for $1.
Don't do that.
We're advising you.
Get that year.
You could re-up that $1 for 4 months for 3 times if you want, but that's $3, gang. That's $3. Or you could do $1 for 12 months. Just throwing that out there.
Gator Kirk, good day. Will the improvement since last year be greater than the improvement of the competition to get to 7+ wins for FSU?
To me, that's the crux of the whole thing.
Yeah.
I think they're markedly better, and Tom and I had this discussion on the Sunday Smash. I think they're going to be markedly better because I think they're better in some positions, much better across the board than they were a year ago. But the schedule is tougher. And that's the part. It's hard to evaluate because, again, I think they're so much better that I think that they should beat Louisville. But maybe Louisville's gotten better. I mean, just you don't know. And they have a really good quarterback, and they'll be at home. So that's
– well, Florida State's going to be the underdog in the game.
Probably so, unless they beat LSU.
Unless they're beating coming off a 38-6 win over LSU.
Maybe
the Dome.
But I'm telling you, I think that LSU
and we don't know how quickly LSU gets their act together. I mean, they're in a tough situation. Their ass is in the jackpot, Jeff.
Buddy, I hope they're in shambles when we go up to New Orleans and we're like, call off the dogs.
Yeah, Mike, this is getting embarrassing.
I mean, come on, this man has a family.
A family.
Yeah,
a family.
Ryan writes, fellas, on that glorious October 9 in 2013, if FSU had rolled into Tuscaloosa rather than Death Valley, do you believe the result would have been the same?
I don't think Nick Saban's not losing by 37 points to anyone, but I think the win would have been the same.
Tom writes, since we all know that the ACC network
in they would have won the game, is what I meant.
Yeah,
and Dabo would have won 5 out of 10.
Well, right. You match those two teams against each other.
50-50, really.
Much like I thought the 2018 game here. If you get if Asante Samuel doesn't run into the kicker in that first quarter, that game goes either way.
Probably a field goal at any moment. Yep. It's a game changer right there. Yeah. Tom writes, since we all know the ACC money is about to roll in, are all you guys hearing those rumors about Bama or Georgia wanting to defect to our conference?
Yeah.
I personally say we shouldn't let those bastards in unless they improve their lacrosse facilities.
Agreed. And if they're an AAU school.
That's what you need to see more of. Like, why isn't Mississippi State saying, hey, we want to be in the ACC?
Well, Mississippi State, it's a tough proposition trying to join the ACC.
Well, there's some academic issues. But why isn't why isn't Missouri?
We desperately want
Missouri saying, you know what, this SEC thing was cool. We put away some money in the bank.
Yeah.
We want to come to the ACC.
Yeah. They fit more with the ACC, I would think.
Matt writes, everything aside, your gut instincts on how this season will turn out. Mine says we beat Clemson and win the bowl game for 9 total wins, 8 regular season. Travis is a way better runner than fully acknowledged. No, we all acknowledge that he's an incredible runner. I need him to just be a better passer. As far as Florida State goes, our guts have been saying all summer long 8-4 is what we're hoping, is what we're thinking.
Things go poorly, 7-5. And if they not poorly.
I think good luck, they're 8-4, bad luck. 6 wins.
I'm starting to think good luck they can get to 9-3. That's
I came on the Jeff Cameron show, the wildly popular Jeff Cameron show, and said that he thought they were a 9-win team or bust.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
Not at all what I heard.
He was
it's awesome, man, to have that kind of belief. He also,
bullish.
It's cool, man. I hope it happens. I do.
Michael writes, gents, football is on the horizons. Oh, see what he did there?
Yeah.
See what he did there? Yeah, nicely done.
Oh.
With that thought registers, I try to set
you
real.
Close your eyes, though.
When that thought registers.
Oh, here we go. This guy's got. Okay, let's figure out the next one.
Let's read that whole question again.
Okay, gents, football is on the horizons. When that thought registers, I try to set realistic expectations for the season. Which is more likely, 8-4, 5-7, or hardcore getting braces from Heather K. Birch?
I was wondering when he would do the Birch. How he'd fit Birch in. I'm not getting braces.
More likely than 5-7.
I'm not doing braces again. I lived that life. That's what I tell Brady when he has to get up at 5:10 for high school. And I'm like, I'm not waking up with you, man. I did this already. I went through this drill. You get your butt out the door and get on the bus.
First of all, why in the hell does he have to get up at 5:10? Are you taking him to school in North Dakota?
No, it's 6:07 is when the bus comes. 6:07. So he likes to get up in primp, I guess. I don't know. I mean, you've seen him. He's a great-looking kid. He doesn't need any of that.
Imagine arranging the bus system for bougie North Atlanta where Corey lives.
Yeah, that's right. 6:07. Hey, by the way, you should throw the Khalil question up there because he gave us money. I mean, Khalil's a good guy. He's a long time.
That's not the only reason.
Well,
Which backfield would you rather have? That's a question from Khalil. Minor, Lee, or Freeman Akers, assuming you have a good offensive line by FSU standards? The answer is going to be Freeman Akers.
I think so, too. I love Amp Lee.
I have a hard time going against Minor and Lee.
I love both those guys, but it is the answer, Ira. You're wrong. It's Freeman Akers.
I'm just saying, and maybe it's because of
Isn't Akers the best of those 4?
I don't know, man. I just remember Lee. I remember being more impressed by the stuff Amp Lee was doing on the field than the stuff I saw from Cam Akers.
Yeah, but that was 91.
I was young.
You were young.
Yeah,
you
were very
impressionable.
impressionable. You did.
Thank you, Khalil. You're the man, buddy.
Thanks, Khalil.
Appreciate that,
Good
buddy.
question.
Okay. Hello, gentlemen. Love the show. This from Jonathan. You three are honestly amongst the best in your profession. True story. I was thinking about realignment, and the best play for the Big Ten would be to take 8 out of the ACC. By taking 8, you can effectively dissolve the ACC with no GOR concerns. You have a huge footprint in the South and East Coast. Your basketball league would be insane. Plus, your biggest value would be that with all the new live sports content, you could help facilitate or expand 24/7 sports network that could challenge ESPN. It would be less money per team in the short term, but potentially dominating college sports, all of college sports in the long term.
Sure, man. I'm all for it.
Let's go.
Think about that conference tournament basketball. It's going to be like a mini NCAA. It's going to be 25 teams.
We don't even need to be part of the NCAA tournament
No,
anymore.
you've
We
got
can
your
pull
own.
Greg Sankey and
We'll
do
do
our
the same
own
thing there,
thing over here, man. We don't need it. I think
they would be smart to get Florida State and Clemson, and you really do challenge the SEC for supremacy if you get the right schools in there. You really do.
so. You could grab Florida State, Clemson, North Carolina, Miami. Call it
But
a
think
day.
about, and people might look at that, well, what's Carolina done, or what's Miami done lately,
you
or what's
want-
Florida State done lately. But imagine Florida State with Big Ten money and Big Ten resources. All of a sudden, Florida State's going to be a behemoth again.
Kristen writes, which one FBS game in the first half of the season, if FSU loses, will make you concede 7 wins is not happening?
Boston College.
Also, which game, if FSU wins, would make 9+ wins possible?
I think Boston. There's several games in the first half of the season. If they lose to BC, if they lose to Syracuse,
oh, buddy,
I'm saying it, man. I think they're going to beat Wake, and if they don't beat Wake, that's going to be another sign to me that things are not going to be.
But the one, you'd say BC would be the one
You
where you're
can't
like, well,
lose BC at home.
that's one you need to win. Wake, you could sort of survive.
Gotta win
somewhere
BC
else.
here. You lose that game, that hurts.
One game you win. Man, I think if they go on the road to beat Louisville, to me that's a big sign because you went on the road. They haven't played well on the road.
Yeah,
and that's got a good quarterback. You'd have to score some points on the road. That would be a really.
And
good
you're
sign.
at least 2-1 at that point. You think you're 2-1. You're going to have a winning record at 3 weeks into a season for the first time, I think, since Bowden was the coach.
Sean writes, direct, difficult question here, gents. Have any of you felt yourself gravitating more towards the NFL game with the commencement of the transfer portal and the onset of the NIL?
If I had an NFL team, maybe, but I don't have an NFL team. So I'll let you guys.
What if you had an NFL team whose coach was the son of a billionaire founder of FedEx?
Well, we have.
You have a good one. You have like a good quarterback.
We have a quarterback that is the greatest to ever play.
We have some unique circumstances in this room.
Yeah. Hey, listen, I will say that's a fair question that a lot of people are wrestling with at this time. The college game is in flux, and we're certainly thinking these days that it's not nearly the sport it once was in our eyes. I still love it, but I also love the NFL, and I kind of look at them very much distinctly different. I don't even
really doesn't you think it helps though, just for Florida State fans specifically, that practices are all open. There is so much access.
Yeah,
you
it
do
helps,
feel like
yeah.
you know this team because all these other schools, they feel like a pro team anyway. Where you don't get to talk to the coaches. You don't get to. I mean, pro has more access than most college teams, but I just feel like Florida State fans should at least feel closer to this team because they get to hear from all the players. And they get to hear from the coach all the time, and they get to hear how's it going in practice.
I think these emotions that Sean feels, I think they're magnified for Florida State fans because of what happened with Travis Hunter.
Yes, certainly. Last question, and we will have gotten to everybody on both sides of the aisle here. Gentlemen, while I love the talk of depth on the offensive line, do you think we are close to solidifying a starting 5?
Not really.
I mean, I think they know who their starting 5 is if they're all healthy.
Could be 6 or 7, though, because, Darius was limited for early part of camp,
that's
and
the
then
only
he got
question
back,
I
so
have.
where does he fit in? So, yeah, I think there's a 6 to 7-ish guys that will be the 5 will be from there.
For Corey, for Ira,
We did it.
Jeff. Good
Jeff,
job,
that was
Director
incredible.
Matthew.
What an
Woo!
hour.
Woo!
What an hour. I need to go
Strong like
decompress.
bull, boys.
Decompress after
That's
that.
what I do
Said
right
it couldn't
there.
be done.
Thanks for listening and writing in the questions and being part of Seminole Headlines, everybody. We'll talk to you soon. Peace.